Hey guys. Here is part 6 of What If Naruto Met a Mysterious Archer During the Chunin Exams. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start.
We are paid, that's all. We are God.
Chapter 69. I trust you superior supported our cooperation. Toro spoke in a neutral tone once Ao returned. There were certain doubts, but the possible benefits will outweigh potential risks. Sarutobi Hiruzen knows how to make an offer that is not refused easily. We will require political support in the future, and the word of the hidden leaf is valued. Yes, now we just need to figure out a way to get you into archives, and that is no easy task. Ao motioned for the other mist ninjas present to leave and unrolled a blueprint on the table. This is the schematic of our Central Intelligence Office. It plans most major military operations and handles high-rank missions that require careful planning. It also houses the Hunter Division and obviously the archives. Do we have the patrol routes of the guards? Only for the top 5 floors. But the Chunin Division and the archives are in the underground facility, and it is completely isolated from the rest of the village, even has its own sewer system. What other security measures are there? The area around the building is off limits to the civilians and is monitored by several sensors. It is hard to sense individual chakra signatures in the crowd or inside the building that has many people inside. To the no civilian zone gives them a way to clearly sense anyone entering their sensing field. Basically, they are able to sense any living creature approaching the facility? Well, more or less. They won't sense a fly or a bird, but other than that, yes, they will sense you. So you see, getting you inside is a complex task from the beginning. Do you have your men inside the facility? Yes, not that many, but we even have some people in the Chunin Division, but unfortunately none of our supporters are among the sensors that secure that facility. Toro nodded and leaned over the blueprint. So far it seemed that getting into the archives was an impossible task. Even with the inside help, there seemed to be no clear way of getting inside. There was quite a bit to think about. So if the archives are here, what is this place? The vault for confiscated ninja gear, some old artifacts, spoils of war we can't really use. Basically all that we don't need is locked up in there. And the side corridor on the higher floor, where does it lead? Those are the interrogation cells. As I said, it is also an intelligence facility and prisoners are sometimes brought in to be interrogated. You understand that the methods used can't be called humane. Prisoners. Toro seemed to think over something. What can you tell me about those cells? Nothing much to tell. Small rooms, no windows. 4 by 4 meters. Sound isolation. Sound isolation? Well, of course. First of all, some prisoners might spill information that shouldn't be available to those outside the cell, and the screams. Nobody wants to hear that. How long do these interrogation sessions last? Depends on how long it takes to crack the prisoner. There are specialists working there. They can break a man, but they will make sure not to kill him until he spills out all of his secrets. But when a prisoner is taken into the facility, he also passes the censor ninjas. Well, of course, they are warned about that, and you can't be thinking of doing that. You are nuts. Report. Yagura looked young, but his appearance was deceiving. His skills as a ninja could be rivaled by very few in the village, and that without him even being a Jinchuriki. His control over his tailed beast was great, if not perfect, and demanded respect. But in the last few years, the ninja that once hailed as the third Mizukage and the hope of the village turned into a bloody tyrant. He mercilessly wiped out anyone he suspected of treason, anyone who even posed some sort of a threat. The bloodline purges significantly lowered the military potential of the village, so it wasn't surprising that by now Yagura ruled only by fear. A hunter ninja was found in one of the alleys close to the market. A woman with long reddish hair kneeled before Yagura without looking at him. Who is responsible? Those traitors that aim to overthrow me? We doubt that, Lord Mizukage. We suspect the hunter ninja stumbled upon the trail of a spy from one of the other great hidden villages. We can't tell which one, could even be one of the smaller ninja villages that are close to us. I see, they are worried about the political instability. Or seek to gain something if they get the chance. The woman replied, still not looking up. I agree with you. Very well, use whatever you need to find that spy and get him talking. I do not tolerate such unwanted guests. Will be done, Lord Mizukage. Any other orders? That would be all. May leave. Yes, my lord. The woman gracefully got up and turned around, still never meeting the gaze of the Mizukage, who silently watched as she left his office. Once she was gone, the Mizukage seemed to freeze up, only slow rhythmic breathing telling that he was still alive. What an interesting woman. A voice seemed to come out of nowhere until a figure materialized through what seemed like a swirling portal. The figure was wearing a hooded cloak, while the face was covered by an orange mask with a spiral motif concentrated around a single eye hole. The masked man then approached the window that overlooked the village. Things seem to be getting a bit out of control here. Perhaps the Akatsuki will have to initiate a more active part of the plan earlier than anticipated. He then turned back to the still motionless Mizukichi, who was trapped under the powerful illusion. The masked man pressed his fingers against Yugura's back, where the ceiling tattoo was hidden under the clothes. But either way, you are not going anywhere, beast. So, that is him, huh? Toro was pushed into the interrogation cell, his hands tied behind his back in a manner that didn't allow him to make seals. He was also missing all of his gear. He is all yours. A mist ninja roughly pushed Toro forward. Lord Mizukichi wants him to squeal. That we can do. An interrogator, a large, bulky man nodded with a menacing gleam in his eyes. His assistant, a somewhat younger Kunoichi, in the meantime strapped Toro into an uncomfortable-looking chair, securing his limbs with thick leather straps. The chair was made so that Eve sitting in it created discomfort, resulting in pain after prolonged time. Did he have something on him? Just basic ninja gear, kunai, shuriken. No documents or anything like that. Naturally, what idiot would carry identification documents while infiltrating a ninja village? The interrogator shook his head and looked at Toro. Don't worry, soon enough he will be happy to share all of his little secrets, won't you, dear? The assistant trailed her fingers along Toro's cheek, one of her longer nails leaving a scratch. All in due time, Hickey. Patience. Whatever, we brought him here. I heard he didn't put up much of a fight when they cornered him somewhere around the 4th security post. So he is all yours. Sure, we will handle it from here. The interrogator nodded and closed the large metal door. The two mist ninjas that brought Toro in began to walk away until one of them stopped. Wait, I think I need to go take a leak. There is a bathroom in the side corridor here. Just don't take forever, alright? Yeah, just wait a minute. One of the ninjas rushed to the bathroom, but once inside he pulled a scroll out of his inner pocket and hid it behind one of the toilets. With that done, he flushed the toilet and left with a satisfied smile. Back in the interrogation cell, the specialists got to work. Of course, the first asked the basic questions, but naturally the only answer they got was silence. You think you are tough, huh? The interrogator roughly grabbed Toro's chin, pulling his head up and looking the bound archer in the eyes. You are not. Everyone has a breaking point and everyone reaches it sooner or later. I will break you in more ways than one. Hickey. Right. Usually hammers were tools used for construction, but it was also useful as a tool for torture, as with a swift strike it shattered the bones in the index finger on Toro's right hand. HSSS. The bound archer hissed in pain, but that only resulted in a cruel smirk from his captors. Again. HMPFF. A more vocal reaction when another blow shattered the middle finger. You know, there is a total of 206 bones in human body. There is also no kind of pain second to that of bone pain. The interrogator glanced at the broken fingers. That was only 2. We will go on from here and we'll work up, and every time I will hurt you more and more. Right now it was just a taste. Hickey was kind enough to snap your fingers quickly, nice clean breaks, fast and precise. But when time comes I will do it slowly. I will watch you twitch and scream in agony as I will slowly add pressure until your bones start snapping like old twigs. You know, they make this very funny sound when they do that, though mostly people are not considerate enough to allow me to enjoy that sound. Some scream, some curse me, some cry. Some even try to convince me that they know nothing important, but we both know that we all have secrets. So, will you share yours with me, or should we go on? Bastard! The interrogator received a face full of spit and immediately delivered a strong punch to Toro's jaw. Damn, you are a tough one, aren't you? The interrogator rubbed his fist, uncomfortable pain surging through his hand after he struck the prisoner. To his delight, Toro then spat out a mouthful of blood along with one of his teeth. So, shall we have a talk or shall we play? Seems he wants to play. The assistant shrugged when Toro remained silent. Playtime it is then. I don't know how you managed to talk me into it, Ao. That plan seems like a sick way to commit a suicide. I agree, Lady Terumi, but that ninja was correct. The only way for a foreigner to get into the intelligence department without raising suspicion is to go in there as a prisoner. Yeah, the only problem is that prisoners do go in, but it is a different story about them actually coming out. I am also worried that he will reveal some delicate information on us. I am already basically in hiding, and so is Chojuro. He can't reveal much more about us, I made sure of that, no names and no locations of particular significance to our cause. Besides, considering what is at stake, we can't help but take risks. Even if he will manage to escape, how can someone who was tortured operate effectively? He just said he has his ways. He didn't strike me as a person who sought out his own demise, so I think he knows what he was doing. Very well. If he will actually manage to get Yagura's profile with potential counters to his techniques, it will be indeed of great aid. Don't forget the counter seals that will allow us to actually assault the Mizukage Tower. If we get all those pieces together, we will be able to end this matter with one swift blow without a prolonged civil war. Right, no need to shed blood of our fellow Miss Shinobi. Loyalty is a good trait, though sometimes I think that the loyalty of those following Yagura is mixed with blindness, stupidity, and stubbornness. An awful mix for a ninja to have. Well, nobody will accuse you of not planning ahead. After all, you did manage to keep your bloodlines a secret and thus survive the bloodline purges and rise up in ranks. Not planning? Mei whispered, but Ao didn't seem to hear. Besides, you alone can take on Yagura. Alone? So I think that. Not planning ahead will be alone. Ao. Yes, Lady Terumi? Shut up or I'll kill you. The woman spoke in a threatening tone that seemed to scare the veteran ninja. W. What did I say this time? My oh my, it was a while since I got such a challenge. The interrogator wiped the sweat off his forehead, looking over Toro, whose hands now resembled fleshy sacks with nearly every bone supporting numerous breaks. I think he is about to be done. Look at him, he is at his limit and we didn't even get to his legs or ribs. The assistant commented. You are right. Still, he is tougher than I expected. All right, let's have a small break. I'll go get something to drink, while you entertain our guest. Just don't entertain him too much, he has to talk. I know, I've worked with you over 4 years now, I think you can trust me by now. Well, you did screw up with that one guy 2 months ago. Wasn't my fault that some weakling died of a heart attack? Really, what ninjas just dies like that? The one that is around 60 years old, Hickey. Now I am going, please make sure this guy is alive when I come back. Whatever. The assistant sighed and made a face when the large metal door closed once again. Imbecile. Suddenly she heard faint snapping noise coming from the prisoner. She turned around with a surprised look, not understanding what was going on, though she could tell that something was happening with the bones of their prisoner, his arms once again taking the shape of healthy limbs. The next moment sharp bones shot out from Toro's hands and feet, slicing through the leather straps holding him, and before the assistant could say a word, Toro shot out of the interrogation chair and slammed her against the wall. His whole body language and appearance seemed to change. He no longer resembled a half-broken man, a half-dead prey. Instead, he was a cold-blooded predator that all this time was merely hiding, waiting for the moment to attack his prey. Without a word, Toro rammed a bone stake into her heart. The light quickly faded from the eyes of the kunoichi, and Toro allowed the body to limply fall to the floor. He then inspected himself. His hands were covered in numerous bruises, but that he didn't mind. During the interrogation, he actually had to lower the density of his bones so that they would actually break like those of a normal human being. He also had to be vocal about being in pain, though for him it was actually not that hard to endure interrogation. I brought some. When the metal door opened, the interrogator was grabbed and roughly pulled inside before he could even say a word. He was then thrown across the small room, smashing into the interrogation chair and rolling over. Toro once again closed the door and advanced towards the prone man, who managed to notice that his assistant was on the ground in a pool of her own blood. Who are you? Toro didn't answer, another bone stake sliding out of his palm. The interrogator tried getting up and fighting back, but he wasn't really much of a fighter. Toro with a single move flipped him over and rammed the bone into the back of his head. With that done, Toro approached the metal door and carefully peeked into the deserted corridor. Naturally, this place wasn't popular with visitors. For the next several hours nobody was going to look for the interrogator, and Toro didn't need to worry about alarm being raised due to his escape. He quickly navigated through the corridors and reached the nearest bathroom that was also empty. Inside he found Scroll in the agreed place. It contained his gear, sealed up with the basic storage seals. Soon enough he once again had his bow, his shuriken holster, a roll of ninja wire and a stack of explosive tags. It was actually a simple idea: trick the censors by posing as a prisoner, while one of Mist Ninja's loyal to the opposition got his gear inside. With Toro's high pain tolerance, and the ability to nullify most of the injuries suffered during the interrogation, made it into a decent, though of course risky, infiltration plan. But getting inside was only one part of the job. Now Toro had to get below, and there was only one system that connected every part of the facility: ventilation. The blueprint provided by Ao, and which Toro took time to memorize, showed that this particular bathroom had an access shaft, which was found above one of the stalls. Tisk! Toro pulled himself into a narrow shaft and closed the hatch behind himself. It wasn't a very comfortable way of moving around, but it was the weakest link in the facility's security. The guards only checked the main access ports on the roof, but Toro got into the system from inside. Unfortunately, the ventilation system wasn't connected to the main archive, which had its own system that maintained a certain specific conditions that ensured the survival of the archives. That would be one of the main difficulties once he would get inside. The air there had very little oxygen, just enough for someone to come in, get the needed files out, and study them in a more comfortable setting before bringing them back. That ensured that even in case of fire the archives would not suffer much damage, as without a substantial amount of oxygen no fire could last. But Toro required time to search the archive, and for that purpose he kept the scroll with himself, as it still had an oxygen tank sealed up in there that would grant him over 2 hours to search the place. But right now he needed to get to the bottom floor, and a vertical shaft leading down was just what he was looking for. Chapter 70. I still can't see what makes you ninjas so special. Sure, you have some strange abilities, but truly can't see how that is enough to really stand out. A shinobi is not just an individual that possesses certain skills, it is also a very special type of mentality. Shino turned slightly to Ikkyo, though it was hard to read his expression with his face mostly covered by the high collar of his coat and glasses. To understand a ninja, one must be a ninja. Others generally either develop admiration or fear. I have either of those, I am just curious, Ikkyo admitted. Curiosity generally constitutes the lack of information. You know very little about us, thus you don't have the means necessary to develop your own opinion. Ikkyo pressed her finger against her lips while thinking. Fine, if what you say is true, I want to see what you ninjas are capable of. I don't fight in order to entertain others. Sasuke objected, and Akamaru barked something, clearly approving Sasuke's position. The young Uchiha was already annoyed to no end by this girl. Hey, you are supposed to entertain me, that is what you are getting paid for. Ikkyo raised her voice. What are we, a circus? Kiba growled. This situation can turn into a conflict, but I have a proposition that might satisfy us all. Shino as usually spoke in his usual monotone. I am listening. Sasuke didn't show it, but he was intrigued. Shino always had a leveled head, and even though he never demonstrated a strategical genius on par with Shikamaru, the young Aburame still could come up with decent plans and tactics, not to mention always maintain a leveled head, a skill most useful in combat. I recall that Rock Lee is once again training actively. I doubt he will refuse a friendly challenge from you, Sasuke. He is also an opponent who you should enjoy fighting in order to improve your own hand-to-hand combat skills. Lee, huh? Yes, he is weird, but I respect his skills. Fine, I'll go along with this, and using taijutsu only won't reveal anything that should be kept a secret. My point exactly. And how do we find him? Kiba asked. That is where you come in, Kiba. Your skills as a tracker are worth demonstrating too. Awesome. Wait, what about you, Shino? Kiba, I thought it is obvious that demonstrating the abilities of my clan to those unprepared might cause a severe mental trauma. Shino's voice became lower, and Ikkyo itched away from Shino. For a moment she thought she heard angry buzzing coming from the strange ninja. Oh, right. Kiba scratched the back of his head. Well, let's get to work then, Akamaru. Bark, bark. The puppy jumped down from Kiba's head. It turned out that locating Lee was a fairly straightforward task, and it wasn't unexpected that they actually located the young taijutsu master in one of training areas. 1435, 1436, 1437, 1438. Ikkyo with wide eyes watched as a young shinobi mercilessly pounded a training log with identical kicks from his right leg. Without any doubt he kicked with much force, judging by the damage he managed to cause already. This was amazing, because by the looks of it, anyone willing to hit that log with such force would simply end up with a broken leg. Ha, found him! Kiba declared proudly. Ha! Lee stopped his kicks and turned around. Ah, my most youthful comrades, it is a pleasure to see you all. Are you eager to work hard? Lee can be passionate about training, Shino explained when Ikkyo turned to him with a raised eyebrow. Even though the quiet ninja somewhat scared her, he also was good at explaining things. Right, what you said. Kiba sighed. Listen, there is an important man visiting the Hokage, and we have to entertain his daughter. She never saw ninjas fight, so perhaps you and Sasuke could spar? Of course, it is a perfect reason to demonstrate our most youthful abilities. Lee smiled. Taijutsu only. Sasuke stepped forward. Lee nodded, accepting the terms. Actually, with Lee being a taijutsu specialist, Sasuke had purposefully put himself at a disadvantage, since Sasuke himself relied heavily on ninjutsu. But in order to grow, one needed to overcome challenges, and Lee was clearly a challenge. Sasuke remembered how before the start of the Chunin Exams Lee proved that superior speed could overcome the Sharingan. Now it was time to see how much he managed to grow in terms of speed and taijutsu mastery. Whoa! Ikkyo took a step back when Lee blurred into action. How could one person actually be so fast? Dynamic entry! HN. Sasuke blocked the powerful kick and cursed silently. The power of the strike actually forced him to slide back, and Lee was once again attacking. Kicks and punches followed one after another, and Sasuke had a hard time blocking them. No, the Sharingan allowed him to anticipate the attacks and know he could more or less match Lee's speed. Actually, for short periods of time Sasuke could move at the speeds similar to those Lee achieved with his weights taken off, but now Lee was demonstrating another advantage of his fighting style. Power. Tisk. Sasuke retreated while blocking. The Goken style used by Rock Lee was fairly straightforward. It wasn't that hard to predict where the next blow would land, but withstanding that blow was a problem. Lee simply smashed through Sasuke's blocks, threw the young Uchiha off balance, and overall was clearly dominating the fight. It was a miracle that Sasuke even lasted as long as he did against such an onslaught. But the result was inevitable, and eventually Lee delivered a solid kick to Sasuke's chest, sending the young Uchiha flying back. Umph! Sasuke landed roughly and slid back until he went into a roll, ending up on his feet in a crouching position facing Lee, who now had a confident smirk. It looks like you've been busy. Shizune saw Sakura working in the corner of the medical lab, but she couldn't tell what exactly the young Kunoichi was doing. Oh, hele Shizune-san. Tomorrow I will bring back most of the materials you gave me. It was very interesting, though it was hard to understand some parts, especially when it came using chakra to influence cells in human tissue. I'll explain everything, but if you are more or less done with the theory basics, I think I can start teaching you some basic healing techniques. Nothing advanced, but it will allow you to provide an injured teammate some until an accomplished medic arrives. I am really looking forward to this. Oh, what are you doing here? Shizune picked up a vial with some clear-looking liquid. It was sealed with an airtight seal, and Shizune took a minute or so to open it. Oh, just an idea. This actually smells very nice. You are not using a medical lab to make perfume, I hope? Shizune once again sealed the vial. Of course not. This is for a jutsu. Poison? No, by itself that substance is actually quite harmless. I wouldn't recommend drinking it though, but the worst it will give is a mild case of indigestion. So, what does it actually do? By itself, nothing. It is just a component. You remember those modified smoke bombs Toro uses? Yes, I analyzed the formula he uses. Nasty stuff, but not really lethal. What about them? Well, he taught us to make those. I want to use his method, only use the substance you are holding as the main ingredient. But you said the thing is harmless. Yes. Then I don't understand what you are trying to achieve. It will just create a nice-smelling smoke screen. That is the whole point. I really don't understand. Shizune shook her head. You'll see. I think I will be able to make several prototypes by the evening. Then I will just need to test them, and if I will succeed I will finally have something of my own to brag about. Aren't you enthusiastic? Well, alright, I'll allow it for now, just please don't waste resources we have here. Don't worry, I only need vials and a place to work. Everything else I need I can easily get at the market. You know it is kind of pointless to make stuff that costs so much that it becomes pointless to use. True. Alright, I won't bother you any longer, and tomorrow we start on the medical techniques. Sasuke scowled, feeling the throbbing pain in his chest. Lee was a strong opponent, and didn't exactly pull any punches. But what Sasuke needed to do was to figure out a way to counter that taijutsu style. His own method of fighting was the worst possible way of dealing with such a foe, and Toro pointed that out several times. Just like Lee, the archer could strike with a force that simply tore through Sasuke's defenses. Only when wielding a sword could Sasuke effectively oppose Toro. The archer said that there are many enemies, and in order to survive one must learn to adapt. That was why Toro himself used a mix of fighting styles. Alright, let's continue. Sasuke stood up facing Lee. Is he nuts? That green weirdo will destroy him. Ikkyo pulled on Shino's sleeve. Please do not be concerned, it is a mere spar, no one will be hurt. Seriously. You ninjas are maniacs. I do believe that your statement might hold a grain of truth, Ikkyo-san. Shino nodded. Lee took a step to the side and then once again blurred into action. Being a taijutsu expert, he already managed to find all the weak spots in Sasuke's fighting style, and wasn't about to waste the chances he had. Konoha Whirlwind! Lee delivered a powerful spin kick using the amazing momentum generated by his speed. Blocking such an attack was useless unless you were made of stone. Tisk! Sasuke raised his hand, meeting the kick, and grunted from the effort before he added his second hand, securing a nice grip around Li's shin and then spun around, throwing Li away. Huh! Even Li was surprised by the way his attack was countered. What are you waiting for? Come! Sasuke motioned for Li to attack, the Sharingan spinning as Sasuke observed Li's every move. Dynamic entry. This time Sasuke went low and rolled under Li, instead of meeting the blow head-on. As a result, he ended up behind the taijutsu master, and immediately lashed out with a kick of his own. Li blocked, but stumbled back, for once forced to go on defensive. Quite impressive, Sasuke-san. You are quick to think of new ways to fight me. Li smiled and attacked again. Sasuke defended himself, but not in the same manner as before. Instead of blocking the strikes, Sasuke merely pushed them to the side, or twisted out of the way, forcing his opponent to waste energy. I don't get what changed. Ikkyo rubbed her chin, watching the fight with wide eyes. I see. Shino shifted slightly. You see what? Shino, really, if you say something, make sure others understand you. Seriously. Kiba growled and Akamaru barked something, backing up his partner. To counter a force, you must meet it with a force of your own to match it. Li is physically stronger than Sasuke, and thus in a taijutsu only fight Sasuke can't effectively counter Li. But redirecting the force requires much less effort. That is what Sasuke is doing. Instead of trying to oppose Li directly, he now uses Li's own speed and power against him, redirecting his strikes, throws him off balance, and only then attacks himself. Indeed, just then Sasuke managed to dive under Li's punch, and with a swift motion throw the taijutsu expert over his shoulder. Ag! Li rolled away and jumped up, avoiding what would have been a finishing blow. If anything, Sasuke proved to be a cunning foe, capable of surprising his foes. A most splendid demonstration of youthfulness, Uchiha Sasuke. I think we should stop here, before we get carried away, but I will gladly spar with you again. HN. Sasuke nodded and relaxed. He would feel sore later, especially his chest, but he was pleased with himself. He found an effective way of countering an opponent in the field where he had an obvious advantage. Such an ability would come in handy when he would face Itachi. For a second Sasuke's expression darkened, but the shadow that covered his face for a moment disappeared as suddenly as it came to be. Even though Sasuke never let go of his desire to avenge his clan, he somehow unexpectedly stopped thinking about it most of the time. It was still a priority, just not an obsession. Lately he felt easier, lighter, he felt better overall and enjoyed that feeling. Nice show, pretty boy. Kiba smirked as Sasuke approached. Why, thank you. Li called out from his spot and Kiba slapped his own face. Even Sasuke smirked at that, though Shino remained as stoic as before. Were you satisfied with this demonstration? Yes. I've never seen people move as fast and show such strength. How do you do that? By working hard and giving it our all, Li declared. We have our methods and our secrets, Ikkyo-san. Shino explained in a diplomatic fashion. Sometimes there are questions that are better left without an answer. Only when it comes to ninjas? No, this applies to life in general. We must be going now. TSK. Thanks for a spar. Sasuke again nodded to Li. Hinata really didn't like that annoying civilian girl. To insult her clan and their bloodline, that was simply too much. Hinata rarely experienced such irritation, but Ikkyo seemed to go a little bit too far. Hinata could take an insult, she wasn't new to them, but insulting her family, unforgivable. She enjoyed the scared look Ikkyo gave when Hinata activated her Byakugan. Actually, Hinata was a bit scared that she enjoyed that feeling, but there was something thrilling about it. Most likely that was the way the fox felt when facing a cornered rabbit. You savored that fear, you knew that you had the power to end someone or show mercy. It was intoxicating. Hinata walked on autopilot and steered away from the streets, ending up in a forested area not far from the training ground she often used. Most likely with her mind going over the incident, her legs carried her here automatically. Suddenly Hinata a glimpse of something orange. Naruto was sitting against a tree and as it seemed he was asleep, but soon Hinata noticed something strange. One didn't sleep with such a concentrated expression unless… Oh no, he must be having a nightmare. Hinata tossed her supplies to the side and rushed to Naruto, but before she even touched him he opened his eyes. Ag! Hinata pulled back suddenly and clumsily fell down, while Naruto jumped up, wrapping his hands and feet around a tree branch above him. What gives? Sneaking up on people like that and… Hinata? I am sorry. It though you were having a bad dream. A bad dream? Nah. Naruto jumped down. I wasn't sleeping. At least I don't think I was sleeping, but then again what I am trying to do is kind of like sleeping. Am I making sense? And no. Hinata shook her head. Damn, I am not good in explaining stuff. You see the fox? He is inside me, right? He is S-sealed. The young Hyuga nodded. Well, when I go to sleep I sometimes… I guess I sort of stumble across a place where he is at. I mean inside of me or whatever. There is like this enormous sewer-like place, and this humongous gate, and the fox is behind it. Man, he is annoying. Always angry and irritated, and Granny Tsunade has nothing on him when it comes to temper. Why, you met him? Well, yes, but I am trying to figure out how to do it, because honestly it is a pain to meet that furball. So he figured that if I master a way to come and go I won't end up there by accident. You and me and the F-Fox helped W with this? Huh. Oh yeah, we both dislike each other, so it is best for both of us if I will stop popping up in whatever is that place we meet at. So I interrupted while you're training? Sorry. No problem, I don't mind, just don't tell others that I… You know. Naruto pointed at the branch. Apparently he was a bit embarrassed about getting scared like that. I won't tell. Awesome. Listen, if you have time, could you keep watch for a short while? I think I might be getting onto something about this whole deal. I just don't want anyone to interrupt me. Naruto? Hinata reached out to the young genin, still watching how the wisps of reddish chakra flowed through his system. Without thinking she touched his cheek, just between the whisker-like markings, the reddish chakra appearing in her own hands as well and… Aya! Hinata with a splash fell face down. But there was no water around the clearing. Then what happened? The young Hyuga got up, looking around. She was standing in ankle-deep water in some kind of a sewer. Chapter 71. Hinata really had no idea how exactly she got into this place. If anything, it looked like some sort of a sewer, or maybe a partially flooded dungeon. It certainly had nothing about it that made you feel safe, especially not the enormous gate that seemed to cut off part of the enormous tunnel she was in. What was even more disturbing was that the young Hyuga felt that she somehow didn't belong here. Hinata? Finally a voice that was familiar, something that actually made some sense. Naruto? Where? Don't stand there, run! Get out of there! It was shocking to see the blonde ninja so scared. She couldn't understand what was going on, but felt it better to follow with his advice. If there was something that could make Naruto this worried, it was best not to remain where she was. Hinata stumbled. Out of nowhere she felt a presence, something beyond anything she had ever experienced before, yet it seemed somehow familiar. Hinata activated the Byakugan on pure reflex and dropped to her knees in shock. The mass of reddish chakra towered behind her, taking a shape of a gigantic fox. In every detail she saw the massive body and the 9 long tails that lazily move around. Hinata heard Naruto calling out for her, telling her to get up and run, but what good would that do? Was there any hope of running away from this creature, whose presence made you feel helpless, powerless, insignificant? Your stupidity continues to surprise me, human! The fox didn't seem to pay any attention to the girl, instead looking at Naruto, who glared at the fox, and to Hinata's surprise there was no fear. How could anyone face the fox and not show fear was beyond her. Let her go! That only confirms my earlier statement, human. Do you really think that you can demand anything from me, especially at times like these? Earlier I only agreed to provide assistance to avoid seeing you, but what do? You bring a guest. What reason do I have to not tear this pathetic sack of meat to shreds? Your suffering watching me tear her apart would the very least serve the purpose of amusing me. Touch her and I will. What will you do? You can't do anything. Look at yourself, you won't even dare come through the gate to help her. This is what I meant, human. Your earlier bravado is quite pointless. When we are given a choice, we will not risk our lives for others. You will do nothing. The fox raised its huge paw, with a clear intention to crush the girl. Smash! The whole place shook from the force of the strike. The water that covered the floor was blown away for a moment, pushed away by the shockwave. Hinata opened her eyes. She deactivated her bloodline earlier, not wanting to see the enormous paw of the mighty-tailed beast crushing her. But she was clearly alive, at least she thought she was, because she had no idea what was going on. Why did you stop, furball? The giant claws stopped inches away from the Jinchuriki, who stood in front of his friend, shielding her from the might-tailed beast. Never stand between the predator and his prey. The fox growled. You know me, fox. When it comes to those I hold dear, I will always stand between them and danger. That is how I prove my existence, that is what it means to be alive for me. Really? Brave words from an insignificant insect. You claim your motives are so noble, but I am sure that you, like many others, are driven by selfish reasons. You act the way you do only to prove to others one thing. You want to prove that you are not me. Because of weakness your villagers see you as only the one being they fear the most, me. The fox pulled back with a satisfied smirk. I am not trying to make myself better than I actually am, fox. I do not fear becoming you, I fear becoming what others think you are. You are incredibly powerful, but you are not just malice and rage. Ain't I? The fox growled. What makes you think that you know me better than generations of shinobi before you? How many of them stood before you without some sort of a gate separating you? I am alive, aren't I? That means that you are more than a mindless beast, capable of only causing death and destruction. Ha, a pitiful statement, human. I refrain from killing you only because your demise will cause problems for me also. But still, you show restraint, also for selfish reasons, but still. Naruto smiled, and that alone made the fox roar in rage. Nobody smiled in the presence of the mighty-tailed fox. Not this kind of smile. Only one smiled like that before him and his fellow tailed beasts, but he was long gone. Get out! The fox released the roar that made Naruto and Hinata slide back, towards the gate. Oh great, now my head is ringing. Well, you've heard the beast, let's go. Naruto motioned for Hinata to step through the wide bars of the giant gate. Sorry, I have no idea how you got here. The inside of my head, or whatever this place is, isn't exactly a vacation spot and there is some very angry crowd around. Naruto pointed at the fox, that just kept glaring at them. I am sorry. Strangely, the words were addressed to the fox, that moved its head slightly, hearing the apology. He should be the one saying he is sorry, Hinata. Naruto protested. But I did see come uninvited. Didn't I? You didn't come, you were dragged here by the imbecile next to you. The fox spoke. The idiot is incapable of distinguishing between his own chakra and yours. Wait. The fox loudly inhaled air and lowered its head again. You have my chakra. Very little, but I feel it. Perhaps it is not entirely the fault of my jailer. What do you mean? Hinata felt somewhat safer now that she spoke to the fox from the other side of the giant gate. You both have my chakra, it is a link. You could be a bit more specific, fox. Naruto frowned. I do not intend to help your worthless friend or you for that matter. You can be grateful that you both are still alive. I am not worthless. Even the fox curiously looked at Hinata. Your claim is so pathetic that it even fails to amuse me. Don't think that just because you have a tiny fraction of my chakra you are actually someone of worth. I am someone of worth, because my friend C chose to step in, be between you and me a moment ago. Your power is terrifying, but why you yourself? Without the power, why you are not worth being scared of. I can only pity you. Smash. Naruto and Hinata got blown off their feet when the fox rammed the gate, and then repeatedly struck it with its claws, but actually achieved nothing. You can't. Who do you think you are? Lowly humans, how dare you mock me? How dare you speak out against me? How dare you treat me as your equal? How dare you pity me? I pity all things caged. Hinata sighed after getting up. Like my cousin you are hurting, hating the world for it being unjust. Of course I hate it. What did the world ever do to make feel differently? Probably nothing. T then is the sea circle of hatred. Even you, as powerful as you are unable to break it. Yes, little human. That much you understand, this world is cursed. We are all doomed to face it, never change it. Like hell we are. I will either change that curse you speak of, or will die trying. I am not the one to just give up, Naruto declared. Leave now, humans, I grow tired of your words. The fox tiredly settled down on the floor of its cage. Our argument will be settled, when you will face the hatred of this world, when you will face betrayal. Then there was only darkness and both Naruto and Hinata woke up. My head. All is spinning. Hinata rubbed her forehead. Hinata, not that I mind, but I want to stand up. Apparently when Hinata got dragged into Naruto's head, her slumped right over Naruto. Naruto saw how Hinata's face rapidly began to turn red and he had a clear idea of what was going to happen, but surprisingly Hinata just rolled to the side, not daring to look up at the boy. So the fox, an angry furball, isn't he? And no, not really. Why you two are very much alike, I think. Hey, I object, me and the fox are complete opposites, nothing similar at all. The blonde shook his head so fiercely that Hinata for a second thought that it was going to fall off. You both, wear masks. You wear a happy one, he wears an angry one. But a mask, it is, always just a mask, it hides who we are. So who am I then? Someone. Who was not afraid to stand between me and the fox. I can live with that. Naruto grinned, scratching his head. Toro carefully pulled open the hatch and jumped down, ending up in the hallway on the required floor. This was the part of the facility that handled information, reports from spies and scouts, analytics who made prognosis on the future events, reports about political situations in other countries, about the known whereabouts of various rogue ninjas and their actions. Obviously, such sensitive information required protection, and the security was especially tight on this floor. Everyone required to know the password that was whispered, to ensure that nobody would overheard it. The guards walked around in groups of 3, so ambushing and taking them out without causing too much noise was next to impossible. Hey, you saw that? Amidst Kunoichi saw a glimpse of a shadow that went around the corner. Maybe a mouse? One of her colleagues shrugged. Let's check it out. You saw something, you go check it. The mist Kunoichi frowned, but went around the corner. It was empty and there was only one door, leading into the nearby room, where the hunter ninjas were sometimes briefed on their secret assignments, but the room was empty also. It was quite bare, aside from the basic necessities like a pair of tables and some chairs, nowhere to hide, so after scanning the room the female ninja left the room, returning to her fellow ninjas, who obviously laughed at her for running around looking for someone crazy enough to infiltrate this place. Tisk. Toro careful landed on the floor once the mist ninjas left. He left the door to the room partially open on purpose to catch the attention of the kunoichi, while he remained glued to the ceiling in the hallway. As always, when a person has a clear goal, he rarely looks around for details. Give someone a trail to follow and they will do it, and won't look into other possibilities, at least in most cases. The progress was slow, as Toro constantly had to move around patrols and security posts. Once he was forced to create a small diversion, by busting one of the older pipes, making it seem like it ruptured from increased pressure due to age and rust. That flooded the corridor, creating enough confusion for Toro to get out. Eventually he reached his goal though. There was a narrow corridor, so narrow that nobody could actually hope to hide while walking along it, and it also was long enough to rule out a sudden attack. On the other end sat a lone guard behind a desk, with 2 doors either side of him, one leading into the archive, another into the vault for confiscated or captured items. Now came the tricky part. Toro quickly pulled out the dark cloak and the mask he took from the hunter nin when he helped Chojuro. Unlike the Anbu, the hunter nins wore blank masks that never allowed to identify the particular hunter ninja. This meant that a mask taken from one hunter nin would be identical to the mask worn by any other such ninja. The large dark cloak also covered Toro's outfit and even the bow. Your pass. The guard looked at Toro with boredom, mistaking him for yet another hunter ninjas that for some reason wanted to get into the archives. As always, the masked ninja reached inside of his cloak, but then suddenly threw a small smoke bomb, hitting the guard into the face. Gah! The guard began to cough, when the unusual smoke made it impossible to breathe or see anything. Toro quickly pounced the guard, knocking him down and smashing his head against the floor, knocking the mist ninja out. A sudden attack always worked best, provided it was surprising and fast enough. Ninja art, clone jutsu. A simple illusionary clone would take the place of the knocked out guard, so to anyone walking past this hallway everything would seem normal. Let's see now. Toro pulled up the sleeves of the shirt, worn by the guard, exposing complex seals, tattooed on each hand. Access seals would open the doors, by the worked only while the chakra was coursing through them, so killing the guard was never actually an option. A little piece of information Toro received from Ao. Without such knowledge getting into the archives would have been impossible, but now, Toro simple pulled the limp body to the archive door, that instantly opened when the seal touched the knob. The body was then placed under the table, while Toro pulled out the oxygen tank, before entering the archive. Hashigaki Kisame, a big file. Toro quickly found the file he searched for. That followed by the plans of the underground catacombs under Yagura's residence, a secret information required by Yagura's opposition. All in all, the mission was accomplished, but Toro still had something else he wanted to do, and luckily he had everything he required. After all, the vault was just across the hallway. I don't sense him. Ao covered his head with the hood of the cloak. It was chilly outside and it seemed that it was going to start raining soon. I am sure he will come. Chojuro tried to be optimistic. He was still unsure why Ao brought him along. After all, with his injured hand and without his sword he was fairly useless in a fight. Most likely it was to punish the young swordsman for bringing in the Leaf Ninja, should their new ally fail to show up. In our profession you can't be sure of anything, especially ninjas from other villages. He seemed trustworthy. I don't trust foreign ninjas, he merely made an offer that was too good to decline. To be honest, I was more convinced by the fact that he claimed that Hiruzen Sarutobi had sent him. That is a strong ninja, even if old. He is not just strong, he proved that his word is worth more than gold. There are very few ninjas outside the hidden mist who I would agree talking to, but that doesn't mean I trust Sarutobi. That man might be noble in his actions, but he is quite clever also. I am sure, lady. Don't speak the name outside our base. Why, yes, sorry. You can never be sure that nobody is listening. Ayo, aren't you a bit paranoid? Chojuro smirked. I am very paranoid, that is why I am still alive today, Chojuro. A good amount of paranoia is necessary for a good shinobi. Right, it is also good for a crazy guy that is sure that there is a spy under his bed. My bed moved, so don't bring that up again. Right, it moved. What ninja would actually hide under the bed? I mean, that is stupid. That is exactly what they want you to think. Expect the unexpected. Sometimes utterly idiotic actions can prove successful simply because nobody expects you to act that way. For example, nobody expected our ally from the Leaf to infiltrate the facility by posing as a captured spy. That is suicidal. Good point. I still think he will show up, call it my intuition. That I can note at least, intuition of a ninja is also a valuable tool. It is good when you can sense danger with your skin, when you can smell lies and notice deception. Ayo never passed a chance to lecture Chojuro. Sometimes it annoyed the young swordsman, but in most cases he was grateful. Ayo was a veteran and had more experience in the field than any other mist ninja. Learning from him was a great opportunity. Wait, I think. He is approaching. Ayo tensed and looked up. A shadow jumped from one roof to another, right over them. Back! Ayo pushed Chojuro away and then leaped back himself, and just in time, as something large landed on the spot where they were standing a moment ago. I can't believe it! My sword! Chojuro rushed to his blade that was now stuck in the ground. It was missing the bandages that usually covered it, but there was no mistaking, it was Hiramikarii, and to its handle was tied the folder, containing the files they wanted, with a small note. Consider it a sign of goodwill. Ayo read the note after taking the files. Well, don't go parading around with it, Chojuro, it is still officially confiscated. Told you he would come. Chojuro grinned. He doubted he would see Toro anytime soon, and was right. The bone user was already close to the outer wall, with a heavy scroll strapped to his back. Chojuro and Hiramikarii gave him an excellent reason to get into the vault without angering Yugura's opponents. Chapter 72. As expected, the files you brought are very detailed, though somewhat dated. No wonder, considering that the Hidden Mist had no way of updating their information on Hoshigaki Kisame after he turned rogue. Tsunade looked through the files, while Hiruzen stood behind her with a pleased smile. After all, Toro's performance once again proved that he made a right choice by enlisting the help of this young, but promising young ninja, whose trust was so hard to gain. Even now it was clear that Toro acted due to their relationship being mutually beneficial and not out of any sense of loyalty. The information on Hoshigaki Kisame is interesting, but it says here that he heavily relies on that sword of his, Samahata, and the file you brought has information on that particular blade. Look at the notes and attached in the end. Toro crossed his hands on his chest. Somehow Tsunade felt uneasy with the young ninja in the same room. I see, but these are not from the same file. How did you come across these? Hiruzen looked up. You told me to bring back information regarding Hoshigaki Kisame. I figured that also included the information on the weapon he uses. And the Hidden Mist agreed on that? Tsunade backed slightly. I more than returned the favor. Toro shrugged. After all, they knew well enough that by allowing a foreign ninja into the archives they were taking a very big risk. They have no room to accuse the Hidden Leaf of anything. I am. Very good. Hiruzen didn't allow Tsunade to voice her concern. Such missions rarely go according to plan, and the fact that Toro managed to obtain additional information is an excellent result. We should continue gathering information on that organization that Itachi and Kisame became the part of, before we actually take any kind of action, and now we have a good base to build upon. I am more concerned about our future relations with the Hidden Mist. Toro, if it is possible, I would like to get a full report regarding the you worked with. That will be essential should we develop diplomatic relations with the Hidden Mist in the future. I will leave with the secretary tomorrow morning. Very well, your payment will be transferred to the bank account you've set up. Mission accomplished. Swanda closed the file in front of her, and Toro left without another word, though he did give a short, respectful nod to the old Hokage. I am very uncertain about that young man, sensei. Tsunade shook her head. I can't read him. He is not that hard to understand, Tsunade. Hiruzen lighted his pipe. He is cautious, and he has even less reasons to actually trust us. I prefer to keep people such as him somewhere where I can keep an eye on them, and you can't deny that he is an asset to the village. And what will happen if he will decide that the present arrangement no longer serves his interests? That would be a reason to be concerned, but I have a good feeling about him. PFT, did you have a good feeling when you allowed Orochimaru to go rogue? No, back then I felt like I was making the worst mistake of my life, the old Kage admitted. Tsunade the Leaf is in no position to allow potential allies to slip through our fingers, and I also think that Toro is growing somewhat attached to Team 7. You mean he is less eager to actually cause them harm? Tsunade smirked. No, I think he actually believes that he might be able to trust them. Why is that? Could be many things, but perhaps, when around him he feels something from his past, something that resembles his life before Orochimaru. Behind that cold mask is someone who is desperately looking for something that was taken from him, for something he lost, even if he himself doesn't know what it is. We all need answers, Tsunade. We all need to know who we are and where we came from. Remember those words he speaks so often. Every creation is only as strong as its foundation. He is strong, he wasn't to know what makes him strong. If we help him with that, we will have an ally that will be willing to sacrifice everything for the hidden leaf. Are you sure you don't want to remain in the office? Swanda shook her head with a soft smile. I probably could, but... I am old, you know. You are lazy. That too, all the more reason to retire. Like many other things, the society of the ninjas changed and evolved over time. The concept of the ninja village, despite being quite effective, wasn't actually that old. Before the ninja villages came to be, there were various ninja clans, who lived as rather isolated communities that often fought each other over territories, influence, or simply because of some old long-forgotten feud. Back then the whole world was little more than a constant battlefield. In most cases the clans were built upon something that could unite their individuals. Very often it was some kind of a philosophy, a common goal, family ties, unique styles of fighting or ninja techniques, but the most powerful clans had their own bloodlines. Bloodline were especially prized, because unlike techniques, it was quite hard to actually steal a bloodline, especially considering the means the clans took to protect what they considered sacred. The Hyuga clan and their caged bird seal was a prime example, readiness to sacrifice the freedom of a large portion of the clan in order to protect the bloodline. But eventually it became clear that the clan system basically outlived its usefulness. Despite constant fighting, the clans began to realize that they could only grow further by combining their strength. As such, ninja villages began to appear, the first being the Hidden Leaf, created by the unlikely union of the Senju and the Uchiha clan, though the details of that story are long forgotten, or perhaps they are meant to be forgotten. After all, such alliances are not made without sacrifices. But the Hidden Leaf quickly grew, many other clans joining up in order to enjoy the security of numbers and the stable system that allowed them to worry less about survival and more about developing their techniques. The ninja village even provided a place for smaller ninja families and even individual ninjas, who were ready to offer their loyalty and power to the community that protected them in return. It became very clear that with the appearance of a ninja village, no individual clan could hope to maintain its position of power in any one place. But there naturally were those who tried, mainly because they viewed cooperation with anyone outside their clan as either a sign of weakness or a sign of stupidity. Most of these clans were wiped out, but some, despite everything, managed to survive for quite a while. One of such clans was the Kaguya clan, a big and very influential clan in its days. Shikatsumiyaku, a bloodline that allowed the user to manipulate his or her skeletal structure, made such members of the clan into deadly fighters. Though only a small part of the clan actually had this bloodline, and over the years the clan made numerous efforts to increase the power of their fighters. Several deadly fighting styles were developed, the various techniques getting called dances, due to their somewhat flowing and elegant form. It also became a tradition to name such dances after various flowers. Unfortunately, in many cases those techniques were useless to anyone without the Shikatsumiyaku, and as the clan began to gradually lose its power, the styles and techniques one by one were lost. The clan itself became the shadow of its former self, turning into an almost barbaric and savage community that eventually was wiped out by the Hidden Mist in a bloody, yet relatively one-sided battle. As for the knowledge and techniques of the clan, they were forgotten, except for the few that were stolen or copied by the ninja villages. The high-level weaponsmithing techniques were obtained by the Hidden Mist and partially were used in the creation of the 7 great swords. Some of the sealing techniques were obtained by the Hidden Cloud, by the means unknown, but most likely they were simply sold by a renegade Kaguya clan member. The key element of one of the fighting styles became known to the Hidden Leaf, though it quickly became a forbidden technique due to the strain it caused. On those with Shikatsumiyaku could endure the technique with little to no discomfort in exchange for an incredible increase in speed, power, and control over their bloodline. Among the Kaguya, the technique was a part of the so-called dance of the White Lotus style. In the Hidden Leaf, it was called the Hidden Lotus. Though the exact method of this technique is unknown outside the Hidden Leaf, it is known that it somehow incorporates the usage of the 8 inner gates. Toro pulled away the scroll. The Hidden Mist indeed had most of its knowledge about the Kaguya clan documented. They obviously had the most information due to being the village that was actually responsible for the last major defeat of the once powerful clan. He had no idea what he would actually find, but the information provided by the root agent indeed proved useful. Well, perhaps his decision to ally himself with the Hidden Leaf proved to be the right one. The very least it provided him with the chance of developing something that would give him the fighting chance against Kimimaro, should they meet. Toro got up, rolling up the scroll and putting it under the bed in his small apartment. It was quite fortunate that the Hidden Mist kept some older historical data in the same vault as the unused ninja artifacts. Everyone in the Hidden Leaf knew the story about the great nine-tailed fox that nearly destroyed the village, and even though everyone knew that those events actually took place, for the younger generation it was actually more of a fancy story than a historical fact. Hinata wasn't very different, at least up until the recent events, and even having the slightest amount of the menacing reddish chakra coursing through her palms and fingers never made her realize so clearly that the fox was actually real and that it wasn't just a beast. Incredibly so, the enormous form of fox wasn't as threatening as one would expect. Of course it was filled with rage and had no reason at all to trust humans, and even tolerate their presence. A mighty creature was forced to remain inside an elaborate cage created by his enemy, and Hinata didn't lie that she felt pity towards it. The great fox resembled something incredible, something beyond understanding. The fox was a force of nature. It wasn't right for the fox to be held bound the way it was, but at the same time there seemed to be no other option. Her own clan was in the same situation. She wanted to think that when she would become older she would be able to simply remove the caged bird seal that was forcing member of her family to drift apart. But it wasn't as simple. Yes, it would be a noble gesture, it probably would be celebrated, but there was no guarantee that it would not result in the destruction of Hyuga clan. Just as there was no guarantee that the great fox would not attack the Hidden Leaf should he one day be released from his cage within a known blonde ninja. Seals were a way to maintain order, stability, that they prevented the world from evolving, growing, developing. Changes could be frightening, but those who do not change disappear. Am I changing? Hinata approached the mirror on the wall in her room. Her own reflection stared back at her, and even though it seemed as familiar as ever, it also seemed different. Hinata rarely looked at herself in the mirror. She avoided looking at herself, at a failure, but now, that image was different. One could only grow if he believed he could. One could only get better if he never stopped trying despite failing time and again. To grow one has to change and move beyond the fear of such changes. Hinata finally realized that she wasn't afraid to change who she was and was ready to keep moving forward, and no matter how strange it was, she got help from a certain hyperactive blonde ninja and a creature that was the symbol of rage and anger. The greatest seal one had to break is the fear of change. Ayag! Oh, for crying out loud, for how is that bastard going to keep howling in there? He is driving me nuts. Taiyuya kicked the wall. Calm down, Lord Orokimura said that we should stand guard. Sakan sighed, his twin for now remaining inside of his body. Oh yeah, and what makes that Kadamura so special? Huh? He got injured and Kabuto said that he needs time to recover after his little run-in with Toro. Serves the idiot right. First that fat pig, Jirobo, got himself killed like a complete moron, and now that multi-armed weirdo broke more bones in his body than I can count. Yeah, while busting you out of prison. Oh, shut up, not my fault. I was captured by one of Sanin, someone close to the level of Lord Orochimaru himself. Are you making excuses, Taiyuya? Just saying, tisk. The redhead frowned and began spinning her fleet from boredom until another pain-filled scream made her twitch in discomfort. Think that weakling inside going to die? By the sounds of it he should hope he'll die soon, but Lord Orochimaru clearly has high hopes. Said that his hatred will help him survive. Doubt it, that guy is just so weak, pathetic. I almost barfed when I saw who you got out of prison along with me. We all were far weaker before Lord Orochimaru gave us real strength, and from what Kabuto said, I think I can assume that this time Lord Orochimaru created something special. Well, of course, usually those branded with the seal have a fever and such, they don't go on a rampage and start trashing everything in their sights while screaming in agony. That is what I mean. Remember how hard it was to pin him down and lock him up. My brother is still recovering within our body. When you talk about sharing bodies with our twin, it sounds so wrong that I can't even describe it. Taiyuya's eye twitched. Seriously, why am I the only normal member of the group? Normal? Let's see, a fatso, who is dead now, a freak with 6 arms who spits web, and you two, who are, well, sharing a body and walk around with 2 heads. You play a flute. Sakan shrugged. How is that weird? Taiyuya fumed. How many people around here play flutes? Well, my point exactly, and if nobody else does that, it has to be weird. To make it worse, you are the only female in our group, So you stand out even more. That is it, I am going to separate you from your brother, and I will use a dirty kunai to do it. Ha, you can try, but we both know that I am stronger. Oh yeah, well as you said your brother is still recovering inside of you, so you are down a half of your usual strength. Oh shit. Sakan's eyes widened when Tayuya leaped over to him, grabbing her teammate by his clothes. I am going to shove this down your throat to teach you not to open your big mouth. Tayuya waved her flute in front of Sakan's face, but then a powerful strike nearly tore down a metal door that they were guarding. What the? I thought he was half dead. Dead don't hit like th. Sakan barely managed to jump up and glue himself to the ceiling when another strike blasted the door off its hinges and made it slam into the opposite side of the corridor, nearly leveling it. Power, just like he promised. I love this. Power. A figure made outside and Tayuya nearly dropped her flute when she saw the thing before her. Impressed? Tayuya shivered when she heard Orochimaru's creepy voice behind her. I must say that I am pleased with the result. After all, there must be 4 members for the Sound 4 to maintain the name of the group, That is really beside the point, Lord Orochimaru. Kabuto readjusted his glasses in the usual manner. Perhaps, but what really matters is that we can get back to some pressing matters, namely my next shell. Orochimaru smiled and turned around. He didn't want to show it, but his current body was starting to fail him. Time was running short, and he really desired those eyes that would open so many doors before him. Lord Orochimaru. The monstrous figure kneeled, slowly reverting back to a more human shape, the inhuman features fading into large dark markings resembling tiger stripes that now covered the naked torso of the man, kneeling in the hallway. I did my part of our bargain, now rest and prepare. Soon I will need you and others to complete one very important mission. Yes, Lord Orochimaru. Now go, so far I am pleased with your development, Mizuki. Orochimaru smirked and kept walking away, not once turning to his new subordinate, that enjoyed the intoxicating feeling of power that surged through him like waves. He never felt so alive, so capable of taking lives. He would have his revenge. The leaf would pay for branding him a traitor, especially the blonde Jinchuriki. Uzumaki Naruto, time to pay for everything. Mizuki got up with a grin. Chapter 73. 572, 573, 574. Lee, good to see you working even so early in the morning. Get over here. Guy interrupted Lee's morning routine. Guy-sensei? Lee immediately stopped doing push-ups and turned to his teacher who appeared in the clearing where their team was often training. It had all they need, including several training posts and numerous targets hanging from the branches of trees that were often used by Tenten to perfect her accuracy. Oh, hello Toro-san. Lee bowed politely to the young archer, who stood not around Guy, observing Lee's training regime with a raised eyebrow. If anything, one just couldn't look at the way Lee pushed himself without being at least somewhat impressed. Lee, good news. Remember you told me about your little spar with Uchiha Sasuke? Yes, sensei. I remember that eventually Sasuke found a way to effectively counter your style. And even though it was a most youthful achievement, I think that Toro-san here had quite a bit to do with that. For a piece of knowledge, Toro agreed to give a few pointers about taijutsu, and I myself shall admit that you can benefit from someone with a different way of fighting. Really, that is excellent. I thank you, Toro-san. Don't. It is a mutually beneficial agreement, and I will complete my end of the bargain even if you won't like it. I won't like it. First thing first. Toro stepped to the side, taking off his bow, placing it against the trunk of a tree. Are you aware of nature of my abilities? Not quite. Tenten spoke about it, but only in general terms, saying that it is a private matter. Did she now? Toro looked to the side for a moment. I can manipulate my skeletal structure, mend breaks, heal minor puncture wounds, created stabbing weapons. Such abilities originally came from the Kaguya clan. You don't need to know details except one crucial thing. They were famous for being nearly unstoppable when it came to hand-to-hand combat. I won't say that I am even close to their level, but if you will experience even if a fraction of their power through me, then that will do you good. But members of Team 7 will tell you that I prefer a hands-on approach when it comes to training. I understand, Toro-san. Lee nodded, taking up his usual Goken stance with one hand folded behind his back and the other presented to the opponent in an almost inviting gesture. Be careful, Lee. Guy retreated to the edge of the field, but one could clearly see that he was somewhat tense, perhaps not trusting Toro completely. Toro moved first. Lee was surprised at such a direct assault, but before an actual clash, Toro simply kicked some dirt into Lee's eyes, blinding his opponent. Gah! Lee felt how the moment of hesitation resulted in strong kick, slamming his stretched hand away, and then Lee was thrown to the ground, with his other hand in painful lock, with Toro ready to snap his neck. That is called fighting dirty, remember it, your opponent will not hesitate to use tactics far less noble. Toro shoved Lee's face into the ground, but then released the boy. Get up. That was unpleasant? It should be. Dynamic entry! Lee sprang into action. Toro blocked the strike, but slid back from the force, while Lee delivered a fast combination of kicks and punches. He wasn't even holding back, but despite his best efforts, the strikes that should have made his opponent cringe from pain in his limbs didn't even seem to faze him. Leaf Hurricane! An impressive leg sweep was avoided, and before Lee Cold turned around to deliver a sharp kick, he was grabbed by the shoulders and thrown to the side, slamming against a training post. I thought you were a taijutsu expert. Toro clearly wasn't impressed as he moved forward, advancing towards his opponent, who was shaking his head, the impact with the hardwood leaving him dazed. I aspire to become an excellent ninja with only taijutsu, Lee declared with a sense of pride. I don't care for that. Your motivation might give you a reason to push forward and see things ahead of you, but it doesn't give you a reason to look from side to side. I'm sorry, I don't. Lee ducked, avoiding a kick that cracked the training post. Such a strike should have left Toro with a broken foot, but instead the archer spun around and delivered another kick with his heel, forcing Lee to jump to the side, going into a roll. You are limiting yourself. Now Toro began to attack. He wasn't faster than Lee, though the young taijutsu expert had a feeling that his opponent wasn't giving his all, but Lee simply couldn't find a pattern. Kicks were followed by punches and throws without any visible system, and Lee struggled to adapt, time and again allowing his foe to deliver a painful strike, often throwing Lee to the ground. I am not limiting myself, I simply can't use anything else but taijutsu. Lee got again, wiping the blood from a busted lip. Your teacher explained that you have no talent for ninjutsu and genjutsu, but that does not leave you only with taijutsu. Huh! I am not here to give you a lecture. But Guy-sensei said you were going to teach me something. Lee barely avoided a fast punch to his face. Then learn. I don't. Umph. Lee clearly saw how Toro pierced his guard, and the next second the young taijutsu expert was thrown back, landing roughly on his back and going into a roll, to once again end up on his feet, ready to face his unrelenting opponent. You might as well take off your weights, otherwise this is turning into a waste of my time. Guy-sensei? I allow it. Guy nodded. So far he was watching the training session, if one could call it that, with a grim expression, but he showed no surprise, thus proving that he was aware of Toro's methods. Ah, far better, now I will be able to show my true speed. A nice change. Lee casually tossed his weights to the side, where they landed, creating small crater and sending a tremor through the ground. A moment later Lee disappeared in a blur, appearing behind Toro, then on his side, then right in front of him, and then above, aiming a powerful kick to the side of Toro's head. Ag! Come on! Naruto kept working on the exercise, but his progress was slow, painfully slow. Well, you did create this small cut here, didn't you? Sakura looked at the leaf Naruto was desperately trying to cut using his chakra. He also was forced to change leaves every hour or so, because over time he burned them with his chakra to a degree where they crumpled to dust. I know, I sometimes do that, but I am supposed to cut them all the way. Hell, wind chakra is supposed to cut metal, and this is a damn leaf. Nature transformation is difficult, it is one of the highest form of chakra control, and your control is horrible. Sasuke also looked over the leaf. Right, yet you use Chidori. I have the Sharingan, and even with that it took me a month to even learn to use. I am not talking about mastering the thing. Sasuke-kun, what do you mean by that? I mean that I waste too much chakra to actually perform it. I mean my eyes help me understand how to do it, by knowing how to do something is not the same as actually doing it. The same with Naruto's pinning ball, Rasengan, right? Yeah, I got far better with Hinata's help, but Pervy Sage makes one in almost an instant, so still much work to do. Cut damn it! Naruto, yelling won't help you achieve anything. Sakura fought down an urge to hit Naruto on the head, he was so irritating sometimes. Still, it was nice to train together, even though each had something to work on. Naruto was trying to cut a leaf, Sasuke was practicing with a sword, and Sakura was working on some illusionary technique using one of Naruto's clones, that right now was standing nearby with a goofy grin, being trapped in an illusion. What did you do to the copy of the dobe? Sasuke placed the sword on his shoulder, giving his arms a time to rest. A simple illusion, applied though a sense of touch. It merely makes one experience a pleasant dream, so I guess he is in a world made of ramen or something. Shouldn't that be somewhat easy to dispel? Yeah, I mean it is easy to identify if you are in an illusion, but some simply don't want to leave, so despite being simple it can be effective against some people. Like my sexy jutsu? Naruto heard. Sort of. Sakura sighed and then kicked Naruto. What was that for? For mentioning that technique. Hey, I object. What if that illusion of yours is used on someone like Pervy Sage? What do you figure he will see? He has a point. Damn it. Sakura crossed her hands on her chest. She just hated when Naruto was right in such situations, and she felt guilty for kicking him. Curse her temper. Whatever, I am going home. Kakashi said something about a mission tomorrow morning? I heard from one of the Chunin guards at the gate that Toro returned. Naruto suddenly remembered and the whole team paled. Let's hope he is busy. The only female of Team 7 suggested, while Naruto allowed his clone to disappear, finally breaking him out of the illusion. Hey Sakura, think you will be able to help learn a bit about dispelling illusions? Sure, I guess I sometimes help Sasuke when he uses his Sharingan for that, so why no join him? I can put you under a genjutsu at the same time in order to use less chakra. Great, thanks. Yes, look, the cut is bigger. Not by much, but yeah, I see it. Great, I will be the best Hokage ever. Even Guy was surprised at how effortlessly Toro avoided the first strike, merely by tilting his head, and that wasn't some fluke. The archer kept dodging, avoiding all attacks even though they rained from every imaginable angle until… What? Lee nearly chocked when Toro simply grabbed his fist. A nice change, you say? Then how come nothing changed aside from your speed? Did you really think that would surprise me? You are wasting my time. Guy-sensei. Do not turn your attention away from your foe. Toro smacked Lee on the back of his head, quite painfully. You are like a stubborn fly, banging against a glass without a through to go look for a different route. Wait, you mean I am… predictable? Painfully so. Your techniques are honed, the power of your strikes impressive, and your speed is truly a force that can't be overlooked. Your attack pattern and approach are pathetically repetitive. After a punch you were going to continue with a roll to the side and attack with a kick, followed by a low leg sweep and that by an axe kick. How? Before you took off your weights you gave me all the information I required. Aside from increasing your speed you added nothing new to your attack style. Since I knew your pattern, I could predict your move before you even made it. I thought that after your encounter with the sand user you learned something. Apparently that one lesson was not enough. It didn't make you think about the reasons you lost. Why I lost? Gaara was… I just couldn't break through his defenses no matter how hard I tried. Even when I opened 5 of the gates, he still managed to avoid major damage. In other words, your opponent was resistant to physical attacks. That is true for me also, to a certain degree, but knowing that, what will you do? I'll try harder. Your determination does not equal strength, and strength does not equal victory. To every power there is always a match, to every move there is a counter. Every creation is only as strong as its foundation. Toro-san, what are you trying to say? Ninjas are dangerous not because they can use chakra and perform various techniques. A ninja's true strength lies in his ability to adapt to the situation, think outside the usual borders and overcome his own limitations. I thought that you would understand that considering that you have more limitations than most, yet despite that you limit yourself to only one attack, to only one style, and should you encounter an enemy capable of countering those moves, you are left with nothing. But since I can't use ninjutsu or genjutsu, stealth, weapons, poison, traps, all of those are still available to you, and not only that. Learn to adapt to your foes, otherwise you will die and you will have nothing to blame but yourself. That woman, Tsunade, gave you a chance, don't waste it. If you learn anything, good, if not, there is nothing else for me to say. Toro stepped back and picked up his bow. Should we require someone to spar with, I will work with him. Despite everything I've said, he can become a challenge and working with him will be of use for me also. For now, I've completed my part. Your turn. Yes. Guy rubbed his chin. How do you feel, Lee? I require time to think, Guy-sensei. Thank you for your time, Toro-san. I would like to test myself against you at a later date when I will have something to show. Very good, Lee. An ability to learn from others shows that you lost none of your youthfulness. Yes, Guy-sensei, I will figure out a way to overcome my limitations and make best use of the advice I got today, unless I… There is no unless. Toro frowned. You either adapt or disappear, no alternatives. This world is merciless. All right, Lee, I promised our friend here to show him something. Please keep working and I will later help you decide on how to expand our training regime. Yes, Guy-sensei. Lee saluted, while Guy and Toro walked off. How is he progressing, Kabuto? Very quickly. He still has trouble controlling the transformation when experiencing anger or frustration, but his body is adapting nicely. I must say that the method you used on him is putting his body under a great amount of strain. I know. Orochimaru smirked. It was intended? But he will not last. Eventually his chakra network along with his nervous system will simply shut down. He will first experience serious pain and will eventually die. Kabuto, I am well aware of that. I see, so he is not a long-term investment, is he? Of course not, but the likes of him can be of use. His hatred towards the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki will be of use in the upcoming mission, and after that, I don't really care what will happen to him. He is expendable material. I require him to be strong only for the purpose of me obtaining the Sharingan. Very well. I suspect that he will reach the peak of his abilities in just 2, maybe 3 weeks. Excellent, keep me informed, we can't delay it any longer. This body is already starting to fail me. Orochimaru pulled his hand up, noticing how the skin began to turn gray and sort of peel off. Earlier than usual. This is Sarutobi's doing. He damaged this body so seriously that it began to fail earlier than anticipated. Make sure that Mizuki reaches the peak of power as soon as possible. Also prepare the forces for the task we discussed earlier. I am still not sure about that. It could be an incredible waste of our resources that are not limitless. The prize far outweighs the potential risks and costs, Kabuto. Sharingan is at stake here, and anything that increases the chances of success should be done. But do not take unnecessary risks. You are much too great of an asset to allow you to disappear. Yes, Lord Orochimaru. Everything will be done in accordance to your wishes. Excellent. Should I prepare an alternative body just in case the mission fails? Failure is not an option, Kabuto. Orochimaru turned slightly to the young spy, who merely readjusted his glasses with the usual gesture, not showing any fear before the powerful snake Sannin. Lord Orochimaru, I prefer to always have a backup plan, even when failure is not an option. You yourself said not so long ago that there is a risk. As always, you make a point, Kabuto. After all, what I have is time. If not this time, then later I will achieve what I seek. Prepare a worthy candidate. I trust you will be able to do that. I already pointed out a few candidates. I will have to run a few tests to ensure that they lack any hidden defects. Aren't you a bit too eager, Kabuto? As I said, I prefer to have a backup plan. Very well, once you make a decision, inform me. I want to personally make sure that your choice is to my liking, but also don't waste too much time on this. Remember, our main goal is Uchiha Sasuke. The members of the Sound Four know what is at stake. They will die, but not fail. That is what makes them into far more valuable tools than Mizuki. Orochimaru shook his head. They fear me more than death, and that means that they will try to accomplish even an impossible task in order to avoid displeasing me. I will keep that in mind, Lord Orochimaru. Kabuto nodded and disappeared in the side corridor, leaving the snake Sannin alone in the dimly lit corridor of the underground facility. A moment later, Orochimaru covered his mouth with his hand, coughing a few times, before looking over the palm that was now marred with blood. Chapter 74. Are you certain about this, Lady Tsunade? Kakashi quickly scanned through a report that was delivered from the border less than an hour ago. We can't let such things go unchecked, Kakashi. We know Orochimaru is planning something, and if sound ninjas were spotted by our patrols, then we have to check it out. Very well, what is my mission exactly? To scout the area for anything suspicious. Inuzuka-san will join you. Together you will be able to cover more ground, and you both are capable trackers. Meet up with the patrol in the area and they will show you where to start. Who knows, you might be able to find a scent to follow. I know, this can turn out to be a waste of time, but with the situation, we can't risk it and leave such things without proper investigation. And my genin team? I expected to take them on a mission. They've been in the village for quite a while already. I'll send them on some easy mission not far from the village. Toro seems capable of handling your team, even though they are a handful. Sometimes. Tsunade had a hunch that Kakashi was smirking under his mask, and at moments like these she really wanted the blasted thing to disappear, but she also knew that many tried, yet failed. Good, with the possible threat level, I can't give this mission to anyone, but a capable jounin and an experienced tracker, so you and Sam are my best option. Don't let anything slip by, turn special attention even to the minor details and report once you find something, or will be certain that there is nothing to be found. You have 2 hours to prepare, and Inuzuka-san has already been one to expect you. Yes, Lady Tsunade. Kakashi bowed and then disappeared in blur. Now you only need to find a good mission for Team 7. Hiruzen pulled his pipe away for a second, while comfortably sitting in the armchair in the corner of the office, observing Tsunade as she carried out the duties of the Hokage. Toro asked for time to train, so let's give them a mission that will provide opportunities for training also. Got that covered. Shizune already prepared a nice low-risk mission and not too far from the village, so overall risks are minimal. Good, should we send for them? Strange, usually Kakashi-sensei meets us and then we go get a mission. Why have we been summoned like this? Sakura wondered, as she and her team climbed the stairs towards the Hokage's office. Naturally, they could move faster and cover the distance in a few leaps, but the Anbu operatives that guarded the place were rather touchy about people moving around the building at speeds faster than those of common civilians. Maybe it is some very important mission and Kakashi-sensei is already there, and we won't have to wait for him for 3 hours? Naruto offered with a grin. Doubt it. Sasuke sighed. Why is that, Sasuke-kun? Because I can't picture Kakashi being on time even in that situation. Yeah, probably right. Still, we might get some interesting mission, right? Let's just get to the office without guessing, dope. Fine, you don't have to act like a team even if you are one. Oh, shut up. Like that will happen. The two genin sent each other a glare, but then turned away. It sort of turned into their way of interacting, and even Sakura observed such minor arguments with a smile, because they now seemed amusing instead of irritating. Hey, what are you guys doing here? Sakura recognized the blonde Yamanaka who was sitting in front of the doors leading into Hokage's office. We've came for a mission, Sasuke explained with a neutral expression. Oh, I don't know why Lady Tsunade called for me. The Anbu guard told me to wait, so here I am. It is impolite to make a lady wait. Ino pouted. You've been here for less than half an hour. The doors opened and Toro appeared with a folder in hand. Toro, hello? Naruto waved, though the members of Team 7 already understood that they would not have a lazy mission with Kakashi and most likely would have to work their asses off with Toro. Our mission is to travel to a nearby feudal town. They captured the leader of the rebellion, Kinhuo, and the feudal lord requested our assistance in order to interrogate him. In order for us to achieve that, a member of the Yamanaka family was ordered to temporarily join our team. That is you. Toro nodded towards Ino, who jumped up. Oh, this is great. We are going to work together, right, Sasuke-kun? HN. Sasuke tried to look neutral, but his teammates saw how annoyed he actually was. Apparently him telling her off once didn't have the effect he hoped for. We are moving out in 20 minutes. We meet at the gates before departing and I do not have a habit of waiting for those who are late. Oh, made it. Ino nearly ran into Sakura after turning the corner. She was greatly irritated, because she was forced to run home, pack and then run to the gates in order to not be late. Surprisingly, everyone else was already there. Hey, how come all of you got here so early? Naruto lives on the other end of the village, for crying out loud. We have everything prepared and sealed in advance. How long can it take to grab a scroll? Sasuke smirked. Don't you do that? No, Asuma-sensei never taught us that. Most of the time we were busy getting pounded by Naruto's clones. Ino sent Naruto a nasty glare, but that only earned a laugh from Naruto and a somewhat satisfied smirk from Sasuke, who silently admitted that he wouldn't mind seeing that. Team 7 with an addition of Yamanaka Ino are leaving for a mission. I am the mission leader. Toro settled things with Koketsu, who wrote everything down and wished them luck, so soon the team left the village through the large gates. Why aren't we moving through the trees? Sakura asked. Why bother? It is a nice day for a walk, isn't it? Ino noted with a smile. The prisoner will arrive for interrogation by the evening, so no need to rush. We should not waste energy if there is no point of getting somewhere quickly. Instead, Toro looked at Sasuke. Uchiha, your suggestion of how to protect the Yamanaka? I don't need babysitting, you know. Ino sent Toro a glare, but apparently he never even bothered to notice her remark. Should I take you into consideration? No, let's say you have only your team to rely on. HN. Sakura should stay close to her and me, and Naruto will form a defensive perimeter. Should an attack occur, Sakura should try to conceal herself and Ino with a smoke bomb and use the transformation jutsu to turn into her. Naruto should create enough chaos for us to retreat, and I will try to identify the main attacker and neutralize him. Oh, good plan, Sasuke-kun, right, Sakura? Yeah, Naruto should create additional clones looking as Ino while there is a smoke screen in order to make more targets. Agreed. Sasuke nodded, admitting that was a good suggestion. What about me though? What should I do? Naruto didn't really believe there would be an attack, but understood that this was sort of an exercise for strategical planning. In their team, Shikamaru always handled such things, but in Team 7 it seemed to be a collective effort. Lay low and don't make unnecessary moves. Sasuke frowned, looking at her. Hey, I can fight. You yourself admitted that you have trouble dispatching Naruto's clone that disappears after one solid punch. Fine, I can admit pinning the real one down is hard, The dobe is too stubborn to stay down and has more chakra and stamina than all of us combined, but a single clone shouldn't be that much of a trouble. He fights dirty, Ino objected. That is the whole point. Toro nodded. Uchiha, I approve of your plan. I'll act as a reserve should there be need. Otherwise, let's act it out with you as a leader. Hey, why the team gets to be the leader? Naruto crossed his hands on his chest. Because right now I don't think you have the skills for long-term planning. You are decent when it comes to thinking up strategies on the spot, but not when it comes to thinking ahead. Perhaps in time. Tisk, well. Fine, I'll listen to Sasuke this time, but don't think that I like a team. You are not supposed to like it, Uzumaki, merely tolerate it. Now assume your positions. Great, now I am stuck with you, forehead. The young Yamanaka sighed when Sakura took position next to her, while Naruto and Sasuke began walking some distance away, with Toro taking up the rear. What did you expect? You know, I was kind of hoping Sasuke would be my, bodyguard. Ha, no chance. And why not? Afraid that he will eventually notice my good looks? PFT, right, I am surprised he remembers your name, Ino Pig. You take that back. Make me, oh right you can't. Just so that you know, I am practically the only candidate to be your bodyguard, as ridiculous as it sounds. We are both girls, which means I can follow you around anywhere, like in the bathroom, not that I want to, but unfortunately you are kind of important for this mission and no matter how we look at it, we are merely here to make sure nobody hurts you. I hate it that you and your team treat me as some helpless damsel in distress. I know how to take care of myself. Keep telling yourself that and you'll get killed. And despite everything, I don't want to see you dead, Ino. And unless you prove that you can take care of yourself, nobody on this team will believe you, not even Naruto. Oh come, he is the friendliest idiot in the world. I didn't say he won't be friendly, he merely won't trust you in battle. You know it took me lots of work to remain a useful member of this team, because Naruto and Sasuke, I can't even tell which one of them is stronger anymore, and it takes all my effort to simply remain a member of the team, instead of being a burden. It doesn't matter what you think of yourself, you are worth something once you prove that. Kuramaru got the scent, unfamiliar, so not someone from our own patrols. Good, let's follow it then. Kakashi nodded. Something on your mind? I can really tell, this just seems too easy. Sound ninjas getting spotted, leaving a trail. You think this is a trap? Sam asked while keeping up with her dog partner that easily followed the trail. Could be, but I also can't rule out pure luck. The sound ninjas are basically assembled rogue ninjas that fell under Orochimaru's influence one way or another, so their quality and discipline are quite low. Just great, we should have crushed that snake when we had the chance instead of digging through this mountain of crap. Nobody could predict that he would go this far. Kakashi, please, that pale-faced bastard never had any moral boundaries. He would probably experiment on his mother if it would find it interesting. Not that he ever valued human lives. That is what makes him so dangerous. What is it, Kuramaru? Sam noticed her canine partner stop and begin sniffing the ground. The trail, two more joined. Kuramaru spoke in his usual gruff manner. He was the only ninja dog of the Inuzuka clan that could speak clearly. Some other could speak a few words, but in most cases nobody bothered with teaching their dog partners to speak. Members of the Inuzuka clan could understand their partners either way and mostly preferred to use time on combat training. Join, or just pass through. Joined, stood for a while and then left. Alright, let's proceed, but carefully. Kakashi checked if his weapons were within reach. The situation was becoming even more dangerous. I am sorry, but the prisoner hasn't yet been delivered. We expected them to arrive a couple of hours ago, but I guess they've been delayed, the roads here aren't that good. A veteran samurai politely apologized when the young ninjas arrived. He himself valued punctuality, and hated when he was put in uncomfortable situations like this one. Delayed? Toro tilted his head. Afraid so. It happens from time to time. Perhaps I could offer you a place to stay in the barracks, or you can rent a room or two at the local inn, the prices are reasonable. I guess there is no helping it. Ino sighed. Show me on the map the road they should have been traveling by. Toro approached the table. Alright. Here, look. There is actually only one road to use, so no mystery there. The samurai unrolled a map. We are heading out. Sasuke nodded. Who made you the boss? Naruto turned to Sasuke, but the young Uchiha with a satisfied smirk pointed at Toro. Oh right, forgot about that. This will be a long mission. Quit it, Naruto, you can goof off later. Alright, you don't need to go lecturing me, Sakura-chan. You'd better behave then. Why are we even bothering with this? Our mission is... Our mission is to interrogate the prisoner, nothing about where should we interrogate him. Make sure you keep up, Yamanaka. Toro moved past her, ignoring the irritated glare from the blonde. How can you stand working with that? Ugh? You get used to it. After all, working with him can be worth it. Come, or the boys will leave us behind. TSS, careful. Kakashi and Sum both began crawling forward, along with Kuramaru. They reached the edge of a small valley and Kakashi pulled several branches away, but not enough to reveal their position. Down below was a camp, a relatively big one, and by the looks of it, it was growing. That is not what I expected. Sum frowned. Running into a team of sound ninjas was one thing, but there were no less than 50 down there, and by the looks of it, there should be more than one such camp in the area. This is not some minor thing. Looks like they are planning an attack. Attack? Against the village? That is suicidal. Sum frowned. Not against the village. Give me the map. Look here, if they will move here, they will be able to attack the mines and limit our supply of ore. No ore, no weapons. And what good would that do for Orochimaru? What does he care about us getting ore? It means that we will have to waste resources to replenish our stock, and after the recent invasion the village, such attacks will be painful, very painful. Orochimaru wants to weaken us, force us to spread our forces. Right. We need to inform the village. Lady Tsunade will decide what to do, while we gather more information. On it. Kakashi pulled out a kunai, creating a small cut on his thumb, producing a drop of blood. TSK, maybe you could pull down your mask and do it like we all do that. Sum curiously looked at the copy ninja. One of the greatest secrets of the village was how Kakashi looked like without his mask. You said something? Damn it, now I understand why Guy hates your attitude. Sum slapped her forehead in frustration and sent a glare at Kuramaru, who tried hiding his head under his paws in order not to laugh at his partner's misfortune. Summoning jutsu! Yo! Pakin raised his paw, appearing in a puff of smoke. Hey Sum, long time no see. Got any of those treats? I don't carry those on missions. Too bad. What can I do for you, Kakashi? Listen, I need you to deliver a message to the village. A message, huh? Fine, no problem. I might even run by the Inuzuka's kennel before heading back. There's one very nice looking. Stay out of our kennels. Sum growled. Sure, I'll steer clear of it. Now what message should I deliver? Pakin turned to Kakashi, while Sum helpless growled. Sometimes Kakashi and his ninja dogs could drive people nuts. I think we now know why they were late. Sasuke looked around. The small caravan was clearly attacked not long ago. The blood was still fresh. The corpses of the samurai guards weren't even stiff yet. Damn, not again, this is depressing. Ino kneeled to check on one of the bodies, but there was no pulse. I wonder who did this. Naruto also helped look for the survivors, but apparently the attackers finished off the wounded before leaving. Hey Ino, I think you won't have to worry about interrogating the rebel leader. Sakura pointed at the turned-over wagon with a cage attached to it. Inside was a body filled with numerous arrows. Just great, so the mission is over? They didn't bother releasing him. Toro broke open the door of the cage and pulled out the body, checking just in case, though there was clearly no chance of him being alive. Strange. What did you find? Sakura approached and saw that Toro was carefully observing bruises on Kinhuo's neck. Such markings, he was suffocated. Sakura understood. I remember reading about such injuries from the books Shizune gave me. And look, little blood came from the wounds left by the arrows. He was shot when he was already dead. Who would want shooting a dead guy? Naruto scratched his head. That is going a bit too far, isn't it? No, not unless you want to hide something. This was done by ninjas, Sasuke declared. What makes you so sure, Sasuke-kun? Ino turned to the Uchiha, who reached for something stuck in the bottom of the turned-over wagon. He raised his hand with something and everyone saw that he was holding a partially bent shuriken. Because nobody else uses such weapons. Suddenly Sasuke leaped into the air, avoiding a barrage of kunai that struck the already ruined wagon. A moment later another barrage came from another side and there were more this time. Raph! Whoa! Ino was nearly blown off her feet when Naruto released an inhumane roar, blowing away the kunai. Ambush! Toro and Sakura both threw regular smoke bombs, creating cover on one side of the road, and everyone moved back, taking defensive positions. Toro, a target to the left! Sasuke's Sharingan picked up someone moving behind the trees, and a moment later a white arrow flew through the air, forcing someone to immediately dodge and roll to the side, but the arrow struck a tree and then everyone saw an explosive tag attached. It instantly detonated, throwing someone out into the open. Damn! The attacker got up, shaking his head, and saw that he was already surrounded by over a dozen blonde ninjas. Surrender and we might let you live. Sasuke's Sharingan began spinning, forcing the rogue ninja to feel sweat roll down his back. Chapter 75. Just great, why do I get into these messes? A rogue ninja was clearly beginning to panic. He expected an easy time, figuring it was a team of rookie genin that for some reason were in the area, but instead he was blasted out into the open, and by the looks of it, these young ninjas were far more competent than he thought. The kid in orange was effortlessly using shadow clones, a technique that was supposed to be incredibly taxing on the reserves, and the other one had the Sharingan. Not to mention that archer. Hey, where is that? Only now the rogue nin realized that the archer was nowhere in sight, but he had no time to look for him as the shadow clones attacked. I'm not that easy to pin down. The first clone received a kick to the side of the head, turning him into a cloud of smoke. The second suffered the same fate after a sharp punch to the nose. But they kept attacking directly, becoming easy targets. Ha, too easy. Another clone suffered a well-aimed kick to the chest and was surrounded by a cloud of smoke. Really? The smoke cleared, revealing Toro, who managed to grab the stretched leg and then with a practiced move flipped his opponent onto his back. But! The rogue ninja tried saying something, but then saw a blade being rammed into the ground, close enough to his head, to leave a shallow cut on his cheek. You lost sight of one of your foes and still decided to fight. There is no excuse for such mistakes. Sasuke shook his head. This rogue ninja, despite being older than he or his teammates, was a disappointment. Sasuke preferred foes that could give him a challenge and a chance to learn something, gain valuable experience, but this was a waste of time. The guy didn't even realize that Toro used a simple transformation and hid among Naruto's clones, and then used the opening, since his foe expected his target to again disappear. But the only thing he dispelled was a simple transformation jutsu. Hey! Shut it! Sakura kicked the man who struggled, not allowing her to bind his hands with ninja wire, but the girl still managed to secure him quite quickly, and Naruto dragged him over to the turned-over wagon. Uzumaki, send out the clones to see if there are any more surprises. Uchiha, be on your guard, use your Sharingan. Yamanaka. Yes? Ino felt somewhat left out. Team 7 handled the situation without her, and now she was eager to do at least something. You were sent for interrogation, you may begin. You mean him? All right, I can try. Try. It is harder to penetrate into the mind of a trained shinobi. If you will be unable to break his will, I will break his body until he talks. We need information. You are willing to torture him? Why does that surprise you? Sakura looked up. I find that idea unpleasant, but he attacked us and look around, people died. I won't participate, but I sure won't object to Toro giving him what he deserves. You wouldn't dare. I have my rights. The rogue ninja objected, but then paled when Toro turned to him slightly and then stomped on his knee, breaking his leg like an old twig. Ag! Shut it. The rogue nin received a punch to the face, knocking him back. You are nothing but a source of information. Your life isn't worth anything, and I will feel no guilt or remorse by pulling that information out of you. It is your good fortune that there is someone among us capable of doing that painlessly. Your choice. Yes, all right. I won't resist. Please. Begin, but don't take too long. Ino only nodded, looking at Toro with horrified eyes. Sure, she had no warm feelings to the rogue ninja, but to inflict pain upon another human being without any hesitation. Toro no longer irritated her. No, he actually scared her. But what made her feel even more uncomfortable was how comfortable members of Team 7 seemed to feel around this merciless ninja. It wasn't that they liked his methods, but they sort of accepted them and agreed that despite being cruel, they were effective. If you resist, this will only get worse. Ino went through several hand seals and pressed her fingers against the temples of the rogue ninja, starting up her technique. Remember, our mission is to get information. If he knows nothing, he should know who does. The ninjas used many tools, techniques, weapons. They applied various strategies and tactics, but what every ninja had to master in order to stay alive was the art of deception. It doesn't matter how strong your foe is, how many foes you are facing, and what resources he may rely on, as long as he is unaware of your next move. The strongest armor is useless when the attack comes out of nowhere and strikes in the only spot that is vulnerable. The sharpest blade is helpless if there is no target to strike. The brightest mind is pointless if there is no information to analyze. Thus Ino understood why this plan was their best shot, but that didn't stop her from hating it. She managed to get some information out of the captured rogue ninja, but he was a rather low-level piece of scum and didn't really know much. The information did prove that the recent attack was made by a well-organized group of rogue ninjas. After doing their job, they left him to see if anyone would come looking for the missing caravan, and he thought that dealing with a few leaf genin would be a good way to boost his standing in the group, but got far more than he bargained for. Apparently he had to meet part of the rogue ninja group to report, and from what Ino managed to find out, the leader of the group that was meeting him could have some far more valuable information, so Team 7 threw up a plan, where Ino played the role of a bait. Having dived into the mind of the rogue ninja, she had the best idea of what kind of a person he was, and by the means of the transformation jutsu would be able to approach the enemies and lure them into a trap. She didn't even dare to object, because she felt that Toro would be fine with using her as bait some other way, and somehow doubted that even Sakura would be against it. The very least, they didn't kill the captured rogue ninja, merely knocked him out and then tied him to a tree, so he was not going anywhere if the broken leg wasn't guarantee enough. "Where have you been?" Ino approached a trio of rogue ninjas, 2 gruff-looking male nins, along with a rather dangerous-looking female, who had the symbol of the hidden grass village on her broad leather belt, with a thick line running across it, the symbol of the ninja that abandoned his oaths of loyalty to his or her village. "Doing what I was told. Something interesting came up." "Interesting?" The female ninja took a step forward. "Well, yeah. I just observed, like I was told. A mounted patrol came looking for their prisoner, weren't pleased to find him dead, her. But they talked a lot and I overheard something about transporting a nice sum of money, taxes actually. Thought I'd stick around and listen." "How big of a sum are we talking?" "They didn't mention, but did say that those are taxes from 2 cities and around a dozen villages. Can't be some loose change, heh?" "I guess. Could be a nice opportunity." The female turned to her 2 male companions, who nodded. "Where should we go to get some additional spending money?" "Not far. We go south, there will be a sharp turn on the road, bushes and trees provide perfect cover. A perfect ambush, sigh. I know this area." "South, you say? I guess that is all we needed to learn. No hard feelings." "Hey, what are you doing?" Ino never expected the woman to pull out a kunai and her companion to move around her. "Me and my friends don't like sharing with newbies. We'll just tell the boss you ran into trouble and didn't make it. I will even raise a cup of sake for you. Buy in, as I said, no hard umph." "Get down!" Ino dispelled the transformation, surprising the trio of rogue ninjas, and dropped down when she heard Sasuke's voice. The young Uchiha appeared in the air above her, throwing 2 large windmill shuriken at her foes. "Leaf ninjas! This is a trap! Kill them!" The woman commanded and used the kunai to block one of the large shuriken, while the other sailed by, both suddenly turning into a pair of identical blonde ninjas, wearing a bright orange jumpsuit. They both immediately attacked the 2 male rogue ninjas, while Sasuke dropped down with his blade drawn, pushing his opponent back with the sheer force of the strike. "Uchiha? The last I've heard, that clan was wiped out." "Not exactly." Sasuke saw how the woman pulled out a second kunai in order to block his slashes and now stopped retreating. Naruto's clones proved enough time for Ino to get back. "About time!" Ino frowned when Naruto ran past her, creating another trio of clones to attack the rogue ninjas. "Stupid brats, we'll kill you! Water style, violent stream jutsu!" The technique lived up to its name, creating a thin stream of water that sliced through Naruto's clones without much effort. "Fire style, raging flamethrower!" "No!" Ino saw how Naruto jumped back, getting in front of her, but by the looks of it, they both were going to get burned to crisp the next moment. Naruto had spread his hands, acting as some sort of a shield for the young Yamanaka, but she simply couldn't understand what good that would do. But then the huge stream of fire disappeared as if there was an invisible wall that it could not penetrate. "How? What gives, Ino? Why the hell are you standing still like some target?" "Oh, shut up, I was distracted." "Now you are both distracted." Sakura ran past them, flashing through hand seals. "Ninja art, the reverse universe." "Whoa." The rogue ninjas stumbled back, feeling dizzy as the world flipped before their eyes. As usually, the confusing technique worked well to wind some time, but it was fairly easy to dispel. Still, the rogue ninjas preferred to fall back. "Damn brat!" The female rogue ninja suffered a minor cut, but delivered a kick to Sasuke's side, forcing him to roll to the side and then jump over to his teammates. "These brats aren't as weak as they seem, they got some moves," one of the male ninjas growled. "Think you can handle them?" "Yeah, we are good." "Then deal with them. I have to report about this. Oiga will not be happy about our activities here being compromised. Leave nobody alive." "All right, you can count on us. Just don't screw this up, it will be pathetic to lose to a bunch of brats." The female turned around and ran off, soon disappearing behind the trees. "I guess we handle these guys then." "All right, I had a feeling I would get a chance to stretch on this mission." Naruto moved his shoulders. Ino, don't interfere. What was that, Sakura? Who are you to order me around? I can help. Stay out of our way. Sasuke turned to her slightly. Otherwise we can't guarantee your safety. You hear that? Guarantee her safety. One of the rogue ninjas laughed. You don't get it, kid. You can't even guarantee your own safety, let alone hers. You brats really took too much upon yourselves by coming here. Naruto! Right. Sasuke grabbed Naruto's hand and simply hurled him at the nearest foe. Pathetic. The rogue ninja grinned when he rammed a kunai at the blonde, but the next moment the injured enemy was replaced by a log, with the kunai getting stuck in the hardwood. Substitution? The next moment the log was sliced in half, with Sasuke kicking the upper part toward the second rogue ninja and then moving towards the one in front of him. I won't fall for such a cheap trick. Despite everything, the rogue ninja saw the attack coming, pulling out another kunai to block a slash. Dance of the Crescent Moon. Sasuke disappeared in a puff of smoke, proving to be just a shadow clone. Ag. The rogue ninja managed to avoid a direct hit, but Sasuke's strike that came from behind still left a long, nasty cut on his thigh. Damn you! These brats are crafty. The other ninja frowned after dodging the half of the log Sasuke kicked towards him. Yeah, we try. The rogue nin turned around and saw how the half of the log was replaced by the already familiar blonde genin, who appeared by the means of yet another substitution. Ragag! Again that! Ino covered her face, feeling how the force moved at her, along with the rogue ninja that was propelled back by the incredible force, smashing into a trunk of a tree. Figures Naruto would be the one to turn yelling into a ninja technique. What in the world was that? Felt like no other technique I've seen before. The rogue ninja got up, using the tree as support, noticing how his injured partner was fending off the combined attacks of Sasuke and Naruto, who seemed to work as a well-oiled machine, knocking him back time and again, and his attempts to use his favorite fire-style techniques were nullified by the blonde, who seemed capable of using some sort of a technique that made fire-style techniques of those levels next to useless. Oh hell! Two kunai sailed through the air, both with explosive tags attached, the blast tearing down the tree and throwing the rogue ninja to the side, where he was attacked by the pink-haired girl, who despite her fragile-looking frame proved to be a capable foe, with a rather strong kick, which made the battered ninja frown. Sakura, get away, I've got him! Ino prepared the mind transfer technique, but it required her to get a good aim, and with Sakura engaged in a taijutsu battle, there was little chance for that. Huh! Sakura turned to her friend, and that moment was enough for the rogue ninja to slam his fist into her stomach, and then throw her away. He immediately pulled a kunai and charged towards Ino in order to prevent her from using her technique. He began moving from side to side, never giving the girl a chance to take a well-aimed shot. Usually she relied on Shikamaru to hold the opponent down while she used the mind transfer technique, but she had no such luxury here. Too slow, girl. A fast kick knocked Ino's hands back, breaking the seal. Now you are dead. The rogue ninja raised his hand with the kunai, and Ino saw it begin to move towards her chest. HSSS. Sakura hissed from pain when the kunai left a deep cut on her side. But she made it just in time to knock Ino out of the way. Still, she didn't have a chance to avoid the injury in this situation. But now she was holding the rogue ninja's stretched hand, and that meant that he would be unable to use any of his water techniques or a substitution to get away. Stupid girl, you are only delaying the inevitable. Am I? Sakura felt her side burn in pain and blood slowly flowed down her side. Listen. Hear that? Birds chirping. That is the sound of your death. Remember it, because that is the last thing you will hear. What? Chidori! 1,000 birds! Gah! Ino saw how Sasuke's hand suddenly appeared from the chest of the missing nin, lightning dancing around it. It stopped only a few inches away from Sakura's body, but then the lightning disappeared and Sasuke ripped his hand out of the wound. Rasengan! The other missing nin, who was held down by several clones, received the spinning ball of chakra into his back and was propelled forward with his spine turned into a mess of bones flesh. Sakura, I am sorry. Get back! Sasuke scowled, pointing at Ino, but then helped Sakura lie down in order to inspect the wound. So, how bad? Sakura didn't want to look. Could be worse. Not too deep, but you are bleeding. Naruto! Get over here, unseal the medical kit, Sakura got hurt. What? Sakura-chan? Naruto appeared before his teammates so quickly that Ino felt that he used Shunshin to get there. He and Sasuke carried Sakura over to the trees, when Naruto unsealed a large box with basic medical supplies and handed Sasuke over his flask with water. Come, we should gather the weapons and check if those bastards are really dead, before Toro comes back with that lady that ran off. Naruto, I didn't want Sakura to get hurt. Ino looked back and saw Sasuke pulled back. It looked like was getting ready to apply sticks. She only hoped that Naruto's medical kit had some painkillers as well. I know you didn't want that to happen. But listen. Naruto stopped and looked at his fellow genin who suddenly felt a menacing aura appear. We work our asses off to stay alive out here. Either get yourself to our level or don't get in the way. If my teammate gets hurt because of you again, I will return the pain tenfold. Naruto's words turned into a low growl and his eyes flashed red, and only a few minutes later Ino managed to get her breathing back to normal. Chapter 76. Darn luck. The kunoichi ran up the tree trunk and then flipped over to a thick branch. She still could hear the sounds of fighting in the distance. The appearance of the Leaf Genin was a very unfortunate turn of events. They didn't want to gain the attention of any of the major ninja villages. That always meant trouble. Luckily her two companions most likely would be able to dispose of the Leaf Ninjas. Their defeat also would not be that bad. After all, they were also expendable and knew little. What was important was that it was almost guaranteed that they would keep the Leaf Ninjas occupied for long enough to get away. The shallow cut left by Sasuke already stopped bleeding, so without wasting time she turned around in order to keep moving. But then she felt something. Experienced ninjas sort of felt danger, as if gaining some sort of sixth sense. It was just that uncomfortable feeling, and now it helped the kunoichi to dodge the blow to the head. Someone wearing a dark gray outfit sailed over her, landing on the same tree branch, and then began to attack with a vicious combination of kicks and punches that pushed her back. Who are you, damn it? She managed to catch another punch, but her foe raised his leg for kick. Instantly she moved further back, when the strike came crushing down, but instead of hitting her, the heel of her foe smashed against the branch, dealing enough damage to make the thing snap under her weight, and the rogue ninja went hurling down. You won't get me that easy! The female ninja landed on her feet and released the barrage of shuriken at the archer. At first it seemed that her attack actually connected, but then she saw the broken-off branch appear in a puff of smoke, filled with her shuriken. That was the same branch that he broke with his kick, which meant... The rogue ninja was grabbed from behind and thrown to the side, smashing into the tree. Her back exploded in pain from the impact, but she was experienced enough to quickly collect herself and move down, avoiding a punch that would have reduced her face to a bloody mess, and then rolled away, getting some space between herself and her foe. Ninja art, piercing strikes. The dark hair of the female ninja came to life, growing to incredible length and moving forward, forming what looked like tentacles made of hair. Toro avoided the first strike, but the second tentacle wrapped around his foot, and the bone used was instantly flipped onto his back. He was forced to roll away and then jump up, to avoid a barrage of strikes that came along. TSK, you almost had me there. The female ninja stood up, her hair moving back, but she never released the jutsu. But judging by that bow on your back, you prefer long-range attacks. Hey, you want to take me alive, otherwise I would probably be dead by now. You are good, I'll give you that much, but you wasted your chance, the element of surprise, and now, I will kill you. The hair moved forward again. The speed of attacks was impressive, but apparently even her jutsu had limits, as with Toro moving back she had to get up and move forward in order to keep him within the range of her attacks. For how long are you planning to dodge? Can't you think of anything? I'll give a hint, my hair is too tough to be cut, so you can skip that idea. The female laughed. Now that she turned the tables on her attacker, she was actually enjoying the fight, her foe only moving back, avoiding a strike after a strike. Got you! The tentacle of hair reached Toro's hand, but the next moment her grabbed it, wrapping the hair around her forearm, before a white stake slid out of his palm. What? The female saw how Toro used a bone stake to pin her hair to a trunk of a nearby tree. Let me go, bastard! The second tentacle wrapped around Toro's torso, but the archer jumped to the tree, using chakra to glue himself to the vertical surface, and then pulled the hair, slowly pulling the female ninja closer, despite her best efforts to stay away. Her hair, despite being wrapped around Toro's chest, seemed unable to do anything, as if his ribs were made of metal. The hair simply lacked the power to crush him. No, let me go, let me go! The female struggled, but was slowly fragged towards Toro. She couldn't even use a substitution, being attached to Toro now. Eventually she realized that her foe was physically stronger, and she had no chance of winning in this contest of pure strength. She moved forward, aiming a punch to Toro's face. The attack apparently caught Toro off guard, but he still managed to push the strike away. Still, the female caught the fabric of the cloth mask that was hiding Toro's face and ripped it off, but before she could do anything else, Toro rammed his elbow into her stomach. He then released the chakra that kept him attached to the tree and pushed away, using his weight to throw the kunoichi off balance and slam her against the ground. Gah! A sharp kick to the face finally broke her concentration and the jutsu was released, the hair returning to normal, even if looking quite messy now. He then grabbed her hand, dislocating it, and then smashed the female against the tree once again, something snapping in her shoulder. Perhaps one could frown at such brutality, especially considering that Toro was actually fighting a woman, but to him she was an enemy, and he would show no mercy as long as she remained a threat. It was only her good fortune that his mission required her to remain alive. With a pain moan, she slid down into a sitting position, no longer having the strength to remain standing. With dislocated arm and a broken shoulder, she couldn't even move her right limb to form hand seals. Toro neutralized her, with brutal efficiency. Wait! The female looked at Toro and her eyes widened as if realizing something. This can't be right. It can't be you. Toro froze up for a second, slowly turned to the female. He then grabbed her by the throat, lifting her up, still pressing her against the tree. What do you know about me? I won't talk. What do you know? Toro's voice for the first time betrayed emotion. It was clear that he wanted her to speak, to tell him the truth. I won't say a thing. Gah! Toro's grip tightened, cutting off the oxygen almost completely. You can't. You need me. Alive. The grip only became tighter, the face of the female ninja slowly turning blue. Release me. Let me go. And I'll talk. You are in no position to make demands. Toro finally released his opponent, allowing her to drop down to the ground, gasping for air. One ninja once said that my strength lies with my ability to wait. Any creation is only as strong as its foundation. I will wait, but you will talk. I think Hiruzen Saratabi will not deny my request. After all, they will interrogate you. Why not pull out something extra? Bastard. Oiga will get you. For this, he will destroy you. That is none of your concern any longer. Toro knocked the female out and sat down, rubbing his face. It took him a couple of minutes to finally get up, to clear his head. Perhaps this rogue ninja knew something about his past that he so struggled to remember. Report. Toro saw Naruto run up to him when he returned to the clearing with the tied-up rogue kunoichi over his shoulder. Awesome, you got her. Hell, looks like she didn't want to go down without a fight. Naruto saw that Toro clearly went through a somewhat rough fight, but knowing the archer, it wasn't that much of a problem from him. Besides, his opponent looked like she went wrestling with the Toad Boss himself. Uzumaki, report. Oh, right. We won. Sasuke took one of those guys out with the Chidori, and I used Rasengan on the other one. Both died. Naruto looked away for a second. Sakura got hurt. How badly? Naruto wasn't sure, but he felt that Toro's voice held a note of concern, and if ever so slightly, he sped up. Sasuke says it could be worse. A cut on the side. Toro said nothing more until they reached the temporary camp, where Sasuke was preparing a simple meal, while Ino was looking over Sakura. Guard the prisoner. Toro slumped the rogue ninja on the ground. Also make a few clones to bring that other guy we captured earlier. On it. Naruto nodded, quickly making half a dozen clones, sending them away to do their task. Toro in the meantime kneeled next to Sakura. Oh, hello there. You won, right? Sakura opened her eyes. Apparently the blood loss left her sleepy. Yes, I won. Don't move. Toro pulled away the bandages, inspecting the wound and the sticks. Sasuke wasn't an expert on medicine, but he did a fine job for someone with so little experience. Any sign of poison? Naruto brought the kunai that was used to injure her clean. Sasuke spoke from his spot. Infection? Don't know, I gave her the antibiotics we had and some painkillers. Good. The wound seems clean and I don't think that it is deep enough to do any damage to inner organs. Your breathing is stable, the pulse is stable. I'd say you got off easily, Haruno. Now explain how this happened. It is my fault. Sakura took a blow meant for me. Ino didn't look up. She was scared, beyond scared even. Some time ago the menacing aura released by Naruto nearly made her have a heart attack, but Toro's presence was almost suffocating, and it wasn't him who was doing this to her, it was her own fear. Only now she understood how much the archer scared her, and why Team 7 respected him so much. There was a moment of heavy, uncomfortable silence until Toro got up. Very well, you knew what you were doing. I do not approve, but if you think she is worth risking your life, I won't say anything. Your choice, you are paying for it. Yeah, I know. Sakura nodded. She is my friend, I couldn't just stand and let her be hurt. She is also a ninja, at least, that is what she claims to be. A ninja must face the consequences of his actions, not allow others to pay the price for them. Perhaps it would be better to let her learn from her own mistakes. Sorry, I just couldn't stay away. Very well. Toro stood up. Rest for now. Should I? Ino felt like she wasn't even there. Yamanaka. Yes? Team 7 is my responsibility. I try to help them survive. Understood? Yes, of course. Ino shivered as Toro walked off and then leaned over to Sakura. What was he trying to say? Oh, nothing. It is just if you will give him another reason to think that you are a threat to our team. Well, there might be an unfortunate accident that will force him to send you back to the village for treatment. Wah. I am dead, I am so dead. Toro is far too cruel to just kill you off, Ino. Relax. That should make me feel relaxed? What twisted logic is that? Oh, shut it. This is the first and last time I am acting as your shield, Ino. From now on we are even, you helped me in the past and now I saved your life. You only did that to pay up some debt? No, I did that because despite everything we are friends. But Toro is right. He is often cruel, he often makes us feel like dirt, but time and again it turns out he is right. We are ninjas and our job demands us to be cruel and merciless at times. We deal with death and blood, Ino. Damn, I should have learned that after the mission in the wave, but I didn't. I only began to see things clearly in the forest of death during the Chunin Exams, and only now I feel that I am truly living up to my title as a ninja. I can look into the eyes of every shinobi in the village and proudly say that I am one of them. Not because I have the headband or because I passed the exams or because I completed a few missions. No, it is because I finally understand what it means to be a ninja, what kind of a burden it is. I share it with them and that is why I am a ninja, why Sasuke and Naruto are both ninjas and why we are a good team. You are my friend Ino, but during a mission I need not just a friend, but a comrade. I am sorry, Sakura. Ino sighed, feeling miserable. Forget it. It will heal and once we get to the village a medic Nin will make sure that I won't even have a scar. But if I will get you Yamanaka Ino. Right, keep thinking that way, forehead. The girls shared a short laugh. About time you got back. Tenten met Team 7 at the village gates. Clearly she once again got the guard duty. Huh! What is going on, trouble? Naruto instantly went from his usual happy and goofy persona to a concerned one. Well, yes and no. Specifics. Toro tilted his head. Listen, I don't know the details, but they say they found a big group of sound ninjas getting ready to attack some of our territories near the border and now Lady Tsunade is preparing a preemptive attack. Since you know much about the sound ninjas and Orochimaru, she requests your presence. I understand. Toro handed the captive kunoichi he carried on his shoulder to Naruto, who without a word made 2 clones for the job, as Sasuke was busy carrying Sakura. Toro explained that walking might reopen the wound and cause the bleeding to resume and thus Sasuke was tasked with the mission of carrying Sakura. He had to admit that aside from casting victorious glances at Ino, and clearly enjoying the ride, his teammate never did anything too annoying and was silent most of the way. As for the prisoners, they were sedated, this way they were not as dangerous, though it did mean that the Leaf Ninjas were forced to haul them all the way back. Uzumaki, get the prisoners to the interrogation center, handle the formalities there. You can claim that you act on my orders. I will file the official report later. Thanks? Sasuke nodded. He hated writing reports, one of the things he and his teammates had in common. I'll get her to the hospital then. Agreed. Yamanaka. Yes? You are free to go. Sure. I'll go with Sasuke and Sakura. Toro didn't say or do anything that could have been deemed a reply, so the blonde figured he didn't care what she would do. All right. I wrote that you all returned from the mission, one teammate injured. Nothing too serious, I hope? Tenten closed the journal. Oh no, I think I'll be running around by tomorrow. Sakura waved. Great, we need all the active ninjas we can get. From what I gathered, only the younger ninjas will stay in the village, along with the Anbu and a few Chunin squads for patrol duty. Get going. Toro looked at the genin, then gave a short, respectful nod to Tenten and jumped up to the nearby roof in order to quickly get to the Hokage tower. He'd actually prefer to observe the interrogation of that rogue kunoichi, but if Orochimaru was planning some sort of a move, then that could wait. Lady Tsunade, Toro-san, he has just returned from the mission and the Chunin guard at the gates sent him here, as per your orders. An Anbu guard reported. Send him in. Hiruzen nodded, while Tsunade stood up from behind the desk. The preparation for the battle turned into an enormous amount of work that was necessary in order to deliver a fast and devastating blow. Lord Hokage. Senju-san. Toro entered the office. Tsunade sighed. Very few addressed her by her family name, But she couldn't really hold that against Toro. There was nothing impolite in the way he addressed her after all. Toro, it is good you returned. I trust the mission went well? Hiruzen released a small cloud of smoke. There were complications, but ultimately it was a success. One of the genin received a wound, but nothing too serious. I will provide a detailed report. Complications. Team disaster, as always. Fine, I am sure. Wait, Tsunade. The old Hokage looked at Toro with a curious glance. Toro, something you wish to mention? We capture a female rogue ninja. She recognized me, though I have no idea who she is and why my face is familiar to her. I understand. Ibiki will get all the answers you require. I will see to it personally. Thank you? Toro nodded. Somehow he and the old Kage always found a way to understand each other. I've heard that Orochimaru is planning an attack. We are not sure. Tsunade motioned for Toro to approach the table. But Kakashi and Sim found a big camp of the Sound Ninjas, and by the looks of it, they are amassing a rather big force. For what purpose? That we unfortunately are unaware of. Tsunade sighed. Chapter 77. So you are saying that they found a large group of Sound Ninjas and now Konoha is preparing an assault to wipe them out? Sakura sat up. Her injury wasn't that serious, but it was decided that she would stay the night in the hospital. The medics patched her up, but didn't heal the injury completely to allow the body itself to repair the remaining damage. It wasn't good to do all the work for the organism. Thus Sakura was forced to stay in bed and was happy when her teammates came to explain what was going on in the village. A surprise attack with an overwhelming force, best possible strategy. Sasuke nodded. Yeah, even Toro seemed, I don't know, excited over that. Naruto grinned. Yeah, he doesn't like Orochimaru much, though. Nobody likes that man. HN. Sasuke rubbed his shoulder over the curse mark. So, what about the village then? Oh, Granny Tsunade decided that the genin can handle the security with several Chunin including Shimkamaru and Tenten. Of course Anbu will stay too, at least I think they will. Who knows what those masked guys have on their mind. At least Toro will be out of our hair for a few days. I somehow doubt that me getting injured would actually stop him from forcing us to train as hard as ever. Sakura leaned back with a sigh. I'd prefer if they allowed us to join. Sasuke-kun, we are only genin and we are still ninjas. Yeah, I agree with the team on this. We are great, we can handle ourselves and it isn't just fair for them to make us stay. Naruto nodded. But we just came from a mission and I am sorry, but I don't think it is a good idea for me to get into an all-out war when there is a chance to avoid it. Unfortunately, you are correct. Sasuke nodded. We are stronger as a team, so going out right now would be a great disadvantage. Hey, I am not that hurt, me being in hospital is just a formality. Sakura shook her head, though it was nice to know that Sasuke started to value her even if as a part their team. Whatever, I am off to train. The last Uchiha picked up his katana that he left by the wall. Try to get better soon. Sure, not that I like being stuck in here. Alright, then I am off to see Konohamaru. He was bugging me about something for the last few weeks, so if I have some free time, why not handle it, right? Want me to bring you something, Sakura-chan? Nah, I am good. Shizune brought me some of the materials, so I'll study after all my new jutsu is almost complete. I'd like to see it. Sasuke nodded, allowing himself a small smirk, and left. Yeah, I bet it will be awesome. Naruto agreed and jumped to the window, earning an irritated glare from Sakura. You idiot! Learn to use the door like most people do. Tisk. Sasuke closed the door to his apartment. It was already dark by the time he returned. Swordsmanship required much time to truly become a master. The moves had to be drilled into the head to a level when you didn't really need to think, when you could react on pure reflex, on pure intuition. A master had to become one with his blade, the weapon forming an extension of his own body. Such a level could only be achieved through gruesome training. Nothing else would allow one to reach it, that, not even the Sharingan, that perhaps could copy the moves, but could not give the experience, feelings and reflexes of a true master. You know, it can be dangerous outside at such a later hour. Sasuke jumped to the side when someone dropped from the ceiling. His Sharingan came to life immediately, and he in every detail saw how a strange six-armed man jumped to his feet and released what looked like a sting of webbing from his mouth. Imbecile, you missed? Tayuya appeared near the window, her flute already near her lips, but the Uchiha unexpectedly jumped right towards her, sealing the flute with his finger, not allowing her to play the melody. Instead she was forced to stare in his eyes, the spinning Sharingan, and there was no tearing her gaze away from it. Damn brat. The redhead could only mumble, her whole body refusing to obey her, being trapped in a genjutsu. Sasuke then kicked her away, throwing the kunoichi at Kidamaru, who nearly fell over after catching her limp body. Sasuke in the meantime smashed right through the window, but not before leaving a few gifts for his unexpected guests. The smoke bombs detonated, filling his apartment with smoke. Unfortunately, he didn't have the modified smoke bombs Toro taught them to make, but the regular ones still would buy him a few more seconds. After all, he wasn't very proficient in using his Sharingan for trapping opponents in illusions, but the one he used on the redhead would last at least for a minute or so. Going somewhere? Sasuke looked up, but in midair he was tackled by another foe, this time a young man, who by the looks of it had 2 heads. Yeah, away from you! Sasuke managed to kick away from the wall, flipping over his opponent as they were falling down. He then delivered a sharp punch to the face. Lion Barrage! Sasuke finished the combo with a powerful kick just as they were landing, ramming his opponent into the ground with enough force to make the building actually shake. That is enough, Sasuke. You! The last Uchiha recognized the voice. Behind him stood one of his former teachers, Mizuki, wearing what looked like a typical outfit of the Sound Ninjas, but lacking any kind of a forehead protector. Surprised? I bet you are. You see, Sasuke, you were given a great gift, but you are an ungrateful brat that can't seem to accept it. I want nothing from the likes of him. He. Sasuke looked back, and to his surprise the opponent he rammed into the ground was getting up, with strange markings covering his body now. Lord Orochimaru predicted such an answer, but he insists. Too bad, I am in no mood to go anywhere. Sasuke detonated another smoke bomb, this time under his feet, hiding himself. Too easy, Sasuke, I guess your brother is still too far away from you. Mizuki jumped to the side, avoiding several kunai, followed by a barrage of fireballs appearing from the smoke. The next second Sasuke appeared from the smoke with his sword drawn, ready to cleave Mizuki in half, but the traitor blocked the strike with a kunai, still sliding back from the force of an impact. Stay down, you little sneak! Tayuya dropped from above, ramming her flute into Sasuke's temple. After all, she was quite pissed over the humiliation she suffered having to rely on Kidamaru to dispel the illusion. But to her shock, Sasuke disappeared, turning into a harmless cloud of smoke, and then she heard the sound of birds chirping. What? Sakan saw Sasuke appear from the smoke with lightning dancing all around his palm. Chidori! Sasuke thrust his hand forward, but just as it was inches from piercing Sakan's chest, a string of webbing struck Sasuke in the back, and the last Uchiha was pulled back and thrown away, before he was allowed to finish his attack. Impressive, Sasuke, but enough. Mizuki grabbed the last Yukabi his hand, forcing him to ram the still active jutsu into the ground, before Kidamaru tied Sasuke's legs with more webbing. Don't look him in the eyes. Tayuya helped flip Sasuke, so that he was stuck face down with Kidamaru now busy tying his hands behind his back. Slippery little ninja, isn't he? Sakan came closer. He never expected them to have so much trouble capturing one genin, but the Uchiha proved that he did have some worth. After all, if it wasn't for Kidamaru, that lightning jutsu most likely would have killed him and his brother with one blow. Perhaps there was a reason why Lord Orochimaru chose this leaf genin to be his next shell. Oh, shut up, freak. Tayuya frowned. Let's get done with this. The genjutsu I used to keep civilians around asleep won't last forever. Fine, keep him down. Sakan flashed through a few seals, slamming his hand against Sasuke's back, dark symbols spearing over the Uchiha's body, and the next moment Sasuke felt that he couldn't even blink, his body getting paralyzed by the sealing technique. Excellent. Mizuki turned Sasuke over with his foot. I know you can still hear me, Sasuke. Mizuki pulled out a syringe. Usually a pill is used, but forcing you to swallow something would just be more trouble. So enjoy. Mizuki rammed the syringe into Sasuke's chest, forcing some dark substance into Sasuke's body, that led to an uncomfortable, burning sensation to spread through Sasuke's flesh. Done. Alright, now just to wait until he develops the second stage of the curse seal, or until he dies and makes all of this a waste of our time. Sakan sighed, finally releasing his curse seal, while Mizuki slumped Sasuke over his shoulder. Let's go, even if there are few ninjas left in the village, I don't want to stay here longer than necessary. What, I thought you were homesick. This place? This village has no meaning for me. I've outgrown it a long time ago. Hear that, brat? This place is not where you want to be if you want power, there's just too much holding you down. Ha, from what I know, that blonde idiot was the one who sent you to the prison. Tayuya smirked. That was a fluke, a mistake. That brat will die, and I hope that I will be the one to rip out his earth, but who knows, maybe I will allow our Uchiha guest to have the honor. Once the curse mark breaks through the seal, he will be willing to end everyone standing between him and the power he desires, and I know he desires it. I saw it in his eyes, back when I was his teacher in this forsaken village. Trouble. A ninja wearing a blank mask remained in the shadows as Sasuke was carried away. He observed most of the fight, but didn't get involved, knowing that his interference would not change the outcome of the battle. Instead, he had another task. With a quick move, he pulled out a scroll and unrolled it on the ground in front of him. Several seconds later, he produced a small bottle of ink and a brush that he used to draw a small bird. Ninja art, beast imitation drawing technique. I trust you all understand how important our mission is. I am not good at speeches, but Sasuke Uchiha is our comrade and we leaf ninjas do not leave our comrades behind. Unfortunately, there are few ninjas in the village, so the job of bringing him back lies purely on our soldiers. Shikamaru didn't even add his usual troublesome, though nobody would argue that the situation was indeed dire. The sound ninjas had at least a 4-hour advantage, and now the team assembled in less than 20 minutes had a task of catching up and bringing Sasuke back. Tenten as the second Chunin would act as the second in command, Kiba would track them by their scent and Neji would be their scout along with Shino, while Chuji would be their main frontline fighter along with Naruto, who was willing to rip their enemies apart to get his friend back. The news really shocked everyone, so this mission wasn't just about the village, this was personal, and that was the reason why even the usually lazy Shikamaru decided to give a small speech. Kiba as our tracker will go first, followed by Neji. Chuji is next, he will act as our shield should there be trouble. Me and Tenten will be the long-range support. Shino and Naruto will bring up our rear, with Shino also using his bugs as sentries around our group. Agreed. Tenten nodded. Also remember, with most of the village ninjas being away, we can't expect any help. We can only rely on ourselves, so everyone please do your best. You can be sure about that. Naruto growled and everyone for a moment felt the menacing aura around him surface. We will bring Sasuke back. Believe it! The battle was going to start soon. Toro anticipated the opportunity to strike against Orochimaru. He had no personal grudges towards the sound ninjas in the large camp, but it wasn't going to stop him from delivering the blow when the time would come. It was always considered a mistake to bring personal feelings to a fight, but there were times when there was no avoiding it. In a fight that held nothing personal to the fighters, skill was always the deciding factor. But in a fight that was personal, the strength of one's will was what really mattered. Toro crouched down on a tree branch. He was one of the ninjas that was supposed to provide long-range support if necessary. He doubted that would actually be necessary. The hidden leaf prepared an attack by an overwhelming force, so the most he would be doing was preventing someone from escaping. The archer saw a small bird appear in front of him, but it was unlike any bird one could encounter in these woods. It circled around the silent ninja until he held up his hand, allowing it to land on his finger, and then with a quick motion threw it against the tree trunk, the birds exploding into an ink stain that then began moving, forming letters and words. We are fools! Toro jumped up and dashed off towards the hidden leaf. He planned all of it. He lured out most of our forces by sacrificing a number of pawns. Yes, that is Orochimaru. Hiruzen scowled. The realization of the cruelty Orochimaru demonstrated in his plans was painful for the man that once prided himself in teaching one of the strongest ninjas in Konoha. We had no way of knowing. Now we can only hope that the team will succeed in bringing back Uchiha Sasuke. Tsunade rested her chin on her folded fingers. I had to figure it out. I was his teacher yet. I am still trying to see something good in him, but I am not sure that there is anything human in him anymore. All we can do is, damn! Tsunade moved back, nearly turning over the table, when someone crashed through the window, showering the office and glass shards. Toro? Hiruzen was quite surprised to see the archer. For him to be here, someone must have sent him a message a few hours ago, just after Sasuke was captured. There was only one man in the village with enough influence to remain in the shadows while still remaining in the game. Well, Danzo and his operatives, despite everything, were very useful. Who did you send after the Uchiha? Toro, what are you doing here? You had an order to join the main forces. How are you here? Tsunade stood up. I do not follow your orders, Senju Tsunade. I made no deal with you. I ought to. Tsunade, enough. Toro's presence here can be explained. What is important is to provide him with information, and we need to be swift. Time is of the essence. Are you sure, Sensei? Let's put it this way. This ninja never have us a reason to suspect him of anything, even though he had numerous chances to betray us and strike us where we would feel the most. If I have a choice of trusting Toro to bring one of our ninjas, so be it. Fine, I assigned Tenten and Shikamaru to assemble a team and gave them information on the sound four you provided us with. They also took Naruto, Shino, Neji, Kiba and Chuji along with them. They will require some extra help. The archer leaped out of the window, landing on the roof across the street with the force that would have sent anyone else to the hospital with broken legs. Now where is he going? To get that extra help, I believe? Hiruzen nodded. One team of ninjas was running in order to escape, their prisoners shivering and twitching from the pain. But they didn't care, they wanted to get as far away from the hidden leaf as possible, as no doubt someone was already hot on their tracks to retrieve the captured ninja and the prized bloodline. Another team was quickly gaining, eager to save their comrade and friend. They were ready to do whatever it would take to succeed and prove their worth. Finally, the third team was following the first two in order to provide aid and support. Move, no time to rest. Toro grabbed a branch and flipped over to another tree as he moved forward at the maximum speed his trained body allowed him. Behind him was a trio of young ninjas. A taijutsu master, a young Hyuga heiress and pink-haired kunoichi, who once in a while pressed her hand against her side, still feeling the injury, but despite it she maintained the speed Toro had set up. There was no time to feel sorry for oneself, to make excuses or to feel tired. They all had a personal reason to move forward and fight. They had to prove their strength. They wanted to bring back their friend and protect those they held dear. They wanted to prove that they were ninjas. Chapter 78. Pain was almost unbearable, it paralyzed his body better than any seal. If he could, he would have been screaming now, but the damned seal only allowed him to breath, blink and suffer as he felt how the dark influence in the curse mark on his shoulder grew, trying to break free, and no matter how much he tried, he felt that it was a battle he had little hope of winning. He is still alive! He is a Uchiha. They are stubborn and don't tend to die easily. Hey, you are talking about a clan that was wiped out by one of their own. I'd say they are pretty pathetic. Sasuke scowled from the memory. His captors discussed matters that brought even more pain, those images, those memories. Itachi with a sword stained with the blood of their relatives. Their parents on the floor, mercilessly stuck down by the one they trusted. Pain, betrayal, it demanded retribution, it demanded death of the one who caused it. And then there was darkness. Sasuke felt how he was sucked into it, how he sort of fell, the world around him disappearing, reduced to an empty black void. Sasuke turned his head, noticing that he wasn't alone in this weird place. He saw a large round cage with a white snake trapped inside, but it was clear that the snake was growing, feeding on the darkness around them, while the cage slowly changed color, rust covering the bars. It was only a matter of time until that creature would break free and consume him. Do you know where you are, young Uchiha? The snake spoke in a soft, seductive voice, yet it did have something familiar about it, especially those eyes. Yes, SS. The snake hissed, the forked tongue appearing from its mouth, as if tasting the air around. I feel that you do. This is your SS soul, Uchiha. This SS delicious darkness SS is you hatred and your despair. SS see it? It is SS all around you, it is SSU. Learn to accept it and learn to use it, to destroy, to make those who wronged you SS suffer and those who stand in your way disappear. You are the curse mark. I am so much more Uchiha. Stay away from me. Really? But you SSC, you don't have much of a choice. The snake rammed the cage, but was knocked back, but not without leaving a dent in the metal and cracking the metal. It seemed pleased with the result, while Sasuke watched in horror. You will has limits SS Uchiha, despair will SS set me free. Ag. Sasuke grabbed his shoulder, it felt as if it was on fire, the pain returned and the snake leaned closer enjoying the image. Yes SS, forget all hope and accept your fate, Uchiha. Your path is SS the one covered in darkness. Accept it. No, Ag. Another wave of pain pushed out every other thought, every other emotion, leaving only the agony and a wish for this to stop. Ha! Seems that he finally passed out. Mizuki noticed how Sasuke no longer glared at him, instead his body becoming limp. About time, the idiot should have done that a long time ago, imbecile. Tayuya shook her head, but then looked back. I think we are being followed. Leaf ninjas? No, happy tree spirits, idiot. Of course leaf ninjas, and I think they are gaining. Damn it, they are faster than I expected. Sakan cursed. We can't risk them recapturing the Uchiha. I bet they have a tracker. He must be removed, then they will not be able to follow us. Mizuki nodded. I bet it is a member of the Inuzuka clan. He will be the one with a ninja dog. All right. Kidamaru, you are up, but don't get carried away. Dispose of the tracker and then catch up. Sure, but a little bit of fun can't hurt, right? They are up ahead, we are gaining on them. Kiba nodded, jumping from a tree branch to a tree branch with Akamaru riding on his head. Be careful, once we catch up we have to concentrate on getting Sasuke back, that is the most important part. Shimaru warned, but then out of nowhere a large web appeared with Kiba going right into the thing, getting stuck like some fly. Ha, too easy. Kidamaru grinned. It was pure luck that the stupid leaf ninjas decided to send their tracker ahead and that he was so easy to identify. Catch! Kiba managed to grab Akamaru and throw him over to Neji, who landed on a tree branch near the edge of the web. Trying to save the dog to keep the team on track. Well, I'll take care of the mutt later. Bye. Kidamaru released a stream of yellow liquid that immediately solidified in what resembled a spear, going right for Kiba. Jukin! Huh! Kidamaru was shocked how the Inuzuka broke free of the web using raw chakra and then snapped the spear with a well-aimed strike. But only a Hyuga could do that, so that meant... You underestimated us. The Byakugan is a prized bloodline of the Hidden Leaf Village. I saw you setting up ambush long before we even arrived. In a puff of smoke, Kiba was replaced with Neji, with his double holding Akamaru turning back into the young Inuzuka, releasing the transformation jutsu. The simplest techniques can be quite effective when used correctly, and arrogance can make even the most skilled ninja weak. Kidamaru felt that he was unable to move, most likely trapped by the shadow binding technique of the Nara clan. Raf. Human bullet tank. What looked like a huge round, rapidly spinning sphere dropped from above, smashing into Kidamaru, snapping the tree branch where Kidamaru was hiding and ramming the sound ninja into the ground. Ha, take that. Chuji jumped back, feeling slightly dizzy after performing his technique. I doubt it is that easy. Shino landed next to Chuji. Everyone, please proceed further. We will handle this enemy. Otherwise we will lose too much time. Fine. Shikamaru nodded. He didn't like leaving a part of his team like this, but there was no other way. A battle was always a risk, and their mission was a risky one to begin with. Hey, you kick that guy's ass and catch up, alright? Naruto grinned. Most of their team didn't participate in the short engagement, saving up their chakra and stamina for later, and even Naruto held back, understanding what was actually at stake. Don't worry, we will be alright. Chuji held up his thumb. You should not concern yourself with us. I believe this is a challenge we can handle. Please go on, our comrade can hope only for you to reach him in time. Shino spoke in his usual monotone, his hands still held in the pockets of his long coat. My oh my! Such a touching speech. Kidamaru emerged from the crater left by Chuji's technique. But finally we are alone and I have a chance to play. Are you trying to say that you allowed others to proceed on purpose? Shino tilted his head. I did what I was told, not my fault you guys turned out to be better than I though. Now I have every reason to stay behind and have some fun. I dare say I deserve a chance to enjoy a nice battle, though you two don't seem like much of a challenge. Still, that technique did hurt, so I guess I'll start with you, Fatso. Kidamaru sprang into action, launching several webs at Chuji, who wasn't fast enough to avoid them, instantly falling down, his limbs secured by the sticky substance. Shino tried stopping the sound ninja, but was kicked away. Pathetic trash. Oh well. Kidamaru created a kunai, preparing to stab the young Akimichi, but before he could actually deliver the blow, Choji broke through the webbing, tearing it up as if it was made of paper. What? Kidamaru didn't react when Chuji again formed a sphere, driving over Kidamaru, ramming him into the ground once again. I am not fat, you jerk! I am big-boned! Damn it! How did you break free? Kidamaru again pulled himself up, but he no longer looked as calm or as confident. His web was infused with his chakra. A Hyuga using Jukin potentially could break free like the one who posed as the Inuzuka, but for this brat to tear it to shreds only with his muscles, only Kimimaro was that strong. I see you are confused. Allow me to explain the little trick. My insects feed on chakra. So your ability to create chakra-infused webbing is only good for providing a meal for my little comrades. I took the liberty of placing some on my fellow leaf ninja. Ha, an abiraim, right? Fine, I'll squash those little critters you are so fond of. They are small, that much is true. Shino's voice betrayed mild annoyance. But what they lack in size, they compensate in numbers. Shino pulled his hands out of his pockets, his bugs crawling outside, quickly forming small clouds that filled the area with angry buzzing. That is it! You do know that spiders feed on bugs? Kidamaru moved back, avoiding a wave on insects. That was Shino controlling how they went after the rather elusive six-armed man. Wave after a wave of bugs passed without catching the sound ninja until he ran up a nearby tree. You won't get away! Chuji's arms grew to an impressive size as he used them to grab the tree and shake, throwing Kidamaru down, with several waves of Shino's bugs instantly swarming him. So is he. Chuji wasn't allowed to finish, when a figure jumped out of the cloud of bugs, grabbing Chuji by the throat and lifting him off the ground. Four arms rammed into Chuji's gut, knocking all air out of him and not allowing him to form seals. What is this? Shino saw that Kadamaru's whole body was covered in some kind of substance that his bugs had no way of biting through. As long as he was covered in that, he was practically immune to his attacks, but at the same time that armor, if it could be called that way, was clearly heavy. So, what will you do now? Kadamaru turned Chuji around, using him as a human shield. The armor of sticky gold began falling off and Shino saw Kadamaru's pleased face, but the paths that were touching Chuji were still protected in case there were still bugs on the young Akimichi. A hostage? It appears you feel threatened by us. Shino sighed. Don't give yourself too much credit, brat. If I feel like playing with you too, it doesn't mean that I actually see you as an actual threat. Arrogance is not a trait suitable for the one who calls himself a ninja. Tells the one who can't do a damn thing about me holding one of your so-called friends captive. Perhaps I myself am unable to actually do anything in this matter. Shino agreed. But I am not who you should be keeping your attention on. With Kadamaru's body being partially covered by his armor, he couldn't feel how Shino's bugs actually pulled out a small pill from a small contained on Chuji's pocket and quickly delivered it to Chuji's mouth, while Shino distracted the sound ninja. Kadamaru noticed how Chuji swallowed something and then in an instant the sound ninja was thrown off without any visible effort, that being followed by Chuji delivering a powerful strike with his fist that again grew to an enormous size. Of all the... Kadamaru saw how the blow actually tore off some of his armor with the insects, instantly seeking it as an opening to feast on his chakra. He escaped again. Shino turned to the side, where Kadamaru appeared after barely avoiding another attack, but now that aura around him shifted, becoming more menacing and even Shino and Chuji, who weren't sensor, felt that chakra and saw the strange markings spread over Kadamaru's body. You alright? Shino turned to Chuji who looked sick. Shikamaru did tell them about the Akimichi pill Chuji had, but never said what were the side effects, aside from them existing. Sorry. I ate a pill along with your bug. I think I will throw up. Shino for once was at a loss of words and didn't know what bothered him more, Chuji's reaction or the fact that one of his bugs was eaten by a fellow leaf ninja. Alright, I'll admit it, you two are crafty. Perhaps you will be able to entertain me. After all, you did force me to get serious. Summoning jutsu. Whoa. Chuji looked up as a giant spider appeared above them. The thing was huge and even worse, it started throwing webbing in every direction, turning the whole area into what resembled a huge trap. It was clear that touching the white substance would either slow you down or stop you in your tracks. Ha ha ha! Now you won't be able to run around as easily as before. Like a fly in a trap, eh? Now eat this! Kadamaru nodded, and to make matters even worse the huge spider began creating smaller spiders, but in huge amount. We need a plan. Shino sent out a wave of his bugs, that clashed with the spiders, but soon the webbing that covered the area caught most of the insects, turning them into nothing more than prey for the spiders to feast on, but the 8-legged creatures clearly had another target in mind. Get away! Chuji's arms grew, allowing him to throw some of the spiders away, but that only bought them a little time. Look, that giant spider, it remains in one place. Most likely it is too slow to move around, and that is why it first creates all that web and uses smaller spiders to attack the enemy. If we fight the offspring, we only prolong the inevitable. So attack the giant bug then? Spiders are not bugs. Shino allowed his voice to betray irritation. A simple attack will not work, the sound ninja remains near it, most likely protecting the thing. I propose another idea. Huh? What are those leaf ninjas doing? Kadamaru tilted his head and then smirked. It was suicide. The Akimichi once again turned into a moving sphere, clearing a pathway through the spiders, crushing several and throwing others back with the Aburaim going right behind him. At first it seemed that they were moving to the other end of the clearing, but suddenly a large wave of Shino's insects hid them both from view. Curse it all! Kadamaru waved his arms when Chuji's arm once again grew to incredible size, the fist smashing through the cloud of Shino's bugs and into the tree, nearly throwing the sound ninja down. But that wasn't what they were aiming for. When Kadamaru managed to collect himself and look up, he saw Shino running up, using Chuji's stretched hand as a bridge to get over the spiders. Won't work! Kadamaru produced another spear from his mouth, the strike tearing up Shino's side and piercing Chuji's stretched arm. Ag! The young Akimichi, despite the pain, maintained the technique. But the blow did dispel the transformation jutsu over Shino, but apparently the only thing it did was hide the fact that the Aburaim took off his long coat that he now held in his hands, with only a long-sleeved shirt protecting his torso now. What umph! Kadamaru never expected the Aburaim to throw his coat, hiding everything from view, and to make matters worse, Kadamaru, despite his best efforts, found it nearly impossible to take the damn thing off. Now! Shino nodded, jumping forward and tackling the sound ninja, throwing them both to the ground. While they were hidden by the insects, he took off his coat, hiding the fact with a simple transformation, and then used the coat to safely scoop up some of the webbing that now prevented the sound ninja from taking the thing off. But even that wasn't the final stage of the plan. The remaining insects created a cloud to carry Chuji up into the air above the now defenseless summon. "Let's see you like this, you overgrown hairy bastard!" Chuji jumped down. "Gigantic human bullet tank!" Chuji first grew almost 3 times his actual size and then once again created a spinning sphere that fell right onto the spider, smashing it into the ground and crushing the beast, before a shockwave blew away the smaller spiders along with most of the webbing, tearing out a few trees and throwing back both Shino and Kidamaru, who still was struggling with the coat. Tisk! Shino got up and took the moment to go find his comrade who was on his back on the edge of the large crater left by his attack. "Akimishi, are you injured?" "I am. Just tired." Chuji sat up. The only actual wound he had was the one left by Kidamaru on his hand, but it shrank when he released the technique and didn't even bleed much. But his body was overall battered and covered with bruises. "You little annoying leaf scumbags! How dare you! You killed my summon! You humiliated me! I'll destroy you!" Kidamaru appeared, having finally ripped Shino's coat off his face. "You've done it now! I am done playing!" The markings covering Kidamaru's body began moving, spreading and transforming his body into a hideous 6-armed creature that by the looks of it also had a third eye. He quickly created a bow and an arrow. "Move!" Shino somehow managed to dodge the shot and even pushed Chuji out of the way, but the bleeding wound on his side limited his mobility, and he doubted he would be able to effectively dodge such shots even when at full strength, but by now both he and Chuji were near their limits. "Die, you bastards!" Kidamaru pulled back the string. Right now he would be able to kill both genin with a single arrow. No dodging, no avoiding it. "Gah!" Kidamaru's hand was kicked up, forcing him to release the arrow into the air. "Who dares to?" But he was never allowed to finish as a powerful punch smashed right into the third eye on his forehead, blasting the sound ninja down onto the ground below. "It appears I made it just in time." Lee smiled, standing on the branch that is occupied by Kidamaru just a moment ago. Chapter 79. "Curse you, who the hell are you?" Kidamaru got up with a growl, looking up the ninja who had just dared attack him. It was hard to tell anything about his skills, other than him be quick on his toes and having quite a bit of power behind those strikes of his, so most likely it was someone who preferred to use hand-to-hand combat. "I apologize." Lee nodded. "One of my comrades once told me that it is considered polite to introduce yourself first before initiating a battle. My name is Rock Lee." "Huh! I don't care what your name is and—" "Umph!" Kidamaru saw how his new foe dropped down from the tree branch, delivering a powerful axe kick, using both his weight and momentum. The sound ninja, even in his monstrous form, felt his arms explode in pain from blocking the strike. It felt like this ninja had limbs made of iron considering the power of the blow. "Lee, a hurricane!" Kidamaru preferred to jump, avoiding another strike, but the onslaught continued, giving him little room to do anything aside from using his numerous limbs to blocks. But Kidamaru quickly got over the initial surprise and began to work out the pattern of attacks of his enemy, eventually throwing Lee back. "You leaf ninjas are real trash. You just come here to get slaughtered. TSK, the very least I am having some fun. I too know how to enjoy the fight." Lee moved back when Kidamaru shot a string of webbing. "But I never disrespect my foe. To mock and humiliate your opponent is a sign of those who are unable to back up their words with actions." Lee danced around strings of web, never getting hit. "Shut up, you annoying pest! For once we agree. For a ninja, silence is golden." Shino appeared behind Kidamaru, unleashing a wave of insects, forcing Kidamaru to move back towards Lee, who immediately went forward. "Dynamic entry!" The powerful kick lifted Kidamaru off his feet and sent him right into the wave of Shino's bugs that immediately swarmed over him. "Yes! Success!" "No, we already figured that tactic will not work." Shino shook his head. "Yeah, look, he is using that weird armor again." Chuji finally recovered after his last attack and approached his fellow leaf ninjas. "Armor?" Lee looked at where Kidamaru was and indeed saw that the sound ninja shook off the bugs, while his whole body once again got covered with what looked like honey-colored metal. "Why is it that every enemy I fight tends to cover his body with some kind of armor? Since when is that so popular?" Lee pulled on his hair in frustration, actually resembling Guy when he was annoyed by Kakashi's hip attitude. "He does have a point, first Gaara, now this guy." Chuji shook his head. "Anyway, one thing I learned from my fight with Gaara, it can be all but useless to pound the armor. We need to deliver a blow of such magnitude that he will not be able to withstand it, even with that armor of his. None of us use such piercing attacks. Both you and Chuji rely on brute force to deliver damage from the outside, while I rely on my destruction bugs to deprive the enemy of chakra. But even the few bites my bugs actually manage to make proved ineffective, he has a monstrous amount of chakra in that mode he is using. Curse it, I wish Neji was here. Lee frowned. His teammate used a style that had a chance to bypass this defense, but they couldn't rely on him right now. I'll kill you brats! Kidamaru roared and went for his bow that was on the ground some distance away. It stayed there after Lee knocked him down, and the blow forced the sound ninja to release his weapon. Sure, Kidamaru could make another one, but not when he was seconds away from engaging his foes in close quarters. Ha! Kidamaru grinned, jumping back and creating an arrow. First he would shoot the fat one, he was the easiest target. He saw that the young Akimichi made a mad dash to the side, but he was too slow, hitting him at this distance would be easy. Now! What? Kidamaru pulled back the string of his bow, but it suddenly snapped, making the weapon temporarily useless. Your webbing is filled with your chakra. Without the chakra it becomes fragile. I took the liberty to arrange that, given the chance. Shino appeared with a kunai in hand, aiming a strike for Kidamaru's throat, but the six-armed man not only avoided the blow, he also threw Shino over his head, tossing the genin away. Shio slid on the ground, but then exploded in another cloud of insects, blinding the sound ninja for a moment. Now do it! Kidamaru didn't understand what was going on. He once more resorted to his armor of sticky gold, avoiding the insects, but those suddenly scattered, revealing Lee, who for some reason had removed his orange leg warmers. Catch! Choiji's whole body grew, allowing him to pull up and throw an enormous log into the air, right above Kidamaru, with Lee moving towards it at unimaginable speeds, way faster than he moved up until now. The bandages around Lee's forearms unwrapped, going around the log just as both the ninja and the crude projectile went down spinning. Got to get out of here! Kidamaru realized that with that speed and momentum even his arm out would not save him from major damage, and even the second stage of the cursed seal was not going to nullify the effects of such an impact. He had to move away. Umph! The sound ninja wanted to jump aside, but only fell on his back. His legs felt like they weighed a ton. Only now he realized that while he was blinded that Lee attached some sort of weights to his feet that greatly reduced his mobility. He only had to reach down and take the blasted things off, but there no longer was any time. Primary Lotus! Smash! The area shook from the violent blow, the impact creating a shockwave that nearly blew Chuji and Shino back. Accursed brats! Kidamaru began getting up, his armor fall off, being shattered to pieces and his face being reduced to a bloody mess. The log that was rammed into him actually exploded to pieces from the incredible amount of energy. It was amazing that the member of the Sound Four wasn't killed on the spot. Then again he survived a whole stone tower collapsing over him. Nice to finally feel your flesh. Lee appeared, his green tights partially turned to rags after he performed the primary lotus on such a scale, but despite his body screaming from pain, he moved fast, delivering a strong punch to Kidamaru's jaw, knocking out some of the teeth. Die! Kidamaru opened his mouth, gathering chakra to shoot the metal spear at Lee from point-blank range, but all of a sudden a hand clapped over his mouth, stuffing something inside. We figured that is one of the few places your armor won't protect. As I said, silence is virtue. So shut up! Lee nodded, kicking Kidamaru under the chin, brutally shutting his mouth, while Shino moved back followed by Lee. The young Aburaim saw the look of shock and pure fear in Kidamaru's eyes, but didn't hesitate to form the activation seal, detonating the explosive tags he stuffed into Kidamaru's mouth. Wrath! The scream of defeat and agony died in the explosion that for a moment hid Kidamaru from view. Ugh! Chuji covered his mouth, not wanting to lose his dinner. But the sight of what happened to their opponent wasn't pretty at all. If anything, the explosion simply decapitated the sound ninja, blowing the head to bits, the remains of the body quickly reverting back to their original form. Nice thinking. Shino sighed, his usual stoic face not revealing any kind of distress over the damage they inflicted upon their foe. Toro did say that a good ninja must learn to adapt when required. Last time pounding at the enemy with armor didn't work out, so although we try a different approach, I must say that I am not sure that the result is youthful. Damn, I knew this was going to get messy, but getting your head blow off like that. I feel sick even thinking about it, let alone seeing something like this. Perhaps it is the effect of that pill you ate. Shino turned to Chuji. Not that bad, I will have a serious case of indigestion and probably some stomach pains, but nothing too bad. Now the third pill, that is trouble. What does the third one do? Lee asked with obvious interest. Oh, it makes the body use up all reserves to produce chakra, so I would get an incredible boost of power, but then. I think Shikamaru's clan has the remedy written down somewhere, but it has to be taken as quickly as possible, and I doubt there would be much chance of me getting it in time. A double-edged sword, much like the inner gates, Lee concluded. It is fortunate that neither of us had to resort to our most powerful, but most dangerous of techniques. The youthful spirit of team effort paid off. I agree, without us backing each other up, this battle would not have ended in our favor. That reminds me, how is it that you are here? Oh, Toro formed a team to provide assistance. Hinata saw you fighting and Toro sent me to help out. I see, then the chance of this mission being a successful one had just increased considerably. You may take the body. Huh? Why? Lee scratched his head. The village without a doubt will want to make an autopsy to reveal Orochimaru's secrets. We must retrieve the body, and you need to get your weights back. I feel your pain, friend. Shuji patted Lee on the back. Hey, did you bring lunch by any chance? It was cold, incredibly cold, and Sasuke fell down to his knees. His body again and again was twisted by the pain every time the snake trashed against the bars of the cage, and every time more and more cracks appeared. You suffer, Uchiha. Yes, feel it, accept it. That way you will now the pain to inflict upon you enemies. I am the power you seek. Without me you will not have what it takes to kill him. Sasuke looked up and saw the spectral figure of Itachi appear, just the way he was when he killed their family. Foolish little brother. You live, yet you don't have enough. Hate. I hate you. You are weak. I will find the strength to make you pay for what you have done. What have I done? Itachi moved forward. You killed them. You killed all of them. Mother, father, our whole clan. You destroyed everything. And still they never proved much of a challenge, Sasuke. But that is not the reason why you want me dead, little brother. You want me dead not because I betrayed our parents or our clan. You want me dead because I betrayed you. It makes it personal. This way you will be able to challenge me and I will be able to test out my powers against someone worthy. After all, we are family. Get away! You are not here! You are just an illusion! Sasuke waved his hand and Itachi dissolved to dust. Hurts yes accept the darkness of your heart, young Uchiha. Ag! Sasuke again screamed out in pain and the wave of cold washed over him, the snake smashing against the cage once more, finally snapping one of the bars. The barrier that held it away was getting weaker by the second. I think he is still resisting. Taiya glanced at the last Uchiha slumped over Mizuki's shoulder. The leaf ninja wasn't moving, but she felt power within him surge as if trying to get out, but something was not allowing it to gain the freedom it wanted. Then he is a fool, fighting a battle he has no way of winning. Sakan frowned. The way Uchiha tried to resist amused and confused him at the same time. The brat was either stupid or simply stubborn, but he wasn't just a simple weakling if he was able to resist even for a little while. Every member knew that intoxicating feeling of power that surged through you once you learned to accept and use the curse mark. It was a gift given only to those of great worth to Lord Orochimaru. They are still following us. Taiya frowned. That imbecile didn't delay them much. Idiot! Sakan cursed. Fine, if you want something done well, do it yourself. I'll take out the tracker. Sakan fell back, preparing to engage the leaf ninja, and he didn't need to wait long. Weak! The first foes he faced were three identical-looking genin, all three proving to be shadow clones. Sakan jumped away, noticing a shadow creeping towards his feet, and they kicked away from a tree, launching himself towards one of the leaf ninjas with a white dog atop of his head. Not while I am around! Neji intercepted the sound ninja, who suddenly went into a roll, but when he jumped up there were actually two of them, one tackling Kiba, throwing both the Inuzuka, his ninja dog, and himself off a nearby cliff to the small river below. Kiba! Naruto saw what happened. Go! I will help him. Sasuke is near. Remember the mission! Neji struggled against his foe, who was remarkably strong, but then threw him away off the same cliff and followed suit. Damn it! Shikamaru swore. He is right, we must keep going. Perhaps Chuji and Shino will be able to help out once they are done. TSK. We keep going forward. Naruto, you go in front with a few clones in case we run into more trouble. Neji is correct, they are trying to delay us, but we are close enough to follow a trail even without a tracker. Move! Whoa! Kiba slammed hard against some rock and bounced off, before shakily landing on his feet. Akamaru landed next to him, and at times like these Kiba wondered if his ninja dog was actually a cat, considering Akamaru's ability to always land on his feet. Miss me? Kiba and Akamaru both dived to the side when the sound ninja that threw them down appeared over them, smashing into the ground. But before the dust settled, he appeared from the dust, grabbing Kiba by his clothes. Ag! Akamaru bit the sound ninja, forcing him to let go. Ninja art, beast mimicry technique. Kayab went down on all fours, preparing to engage his foe. Now he looked even more feral than usual, and he felt how his senses sharpened. This was the style of his clan, allowing the members of the Inuzuka clan fight with both skill of a ninja and the ferocity of a wild animal. Waha! Yukon flipped in midair, landing on his feet and sliding back, ending next to his brother. You allowed that Hyuga brat to force you down here? Sakan raised his eyebrow. He is better than he looks. From what I could tell, he could be the strongest of that bunch, so this trash of a ninja could actually prove a nice warm-up. You give them too much credit. Look at them. This will be over before quickly. Shut up. We will teach you bastards to respect us. You dare taking away our fellow leaf ninja. That is worth a nice beating in my book, and that is exactly what we are going to provide. Oh? It speaks? Strange, you do look like an animal, although you lack the ability to speak, pretty much like that pup next to you. I wonder how you will react when I will squash it like some bug you know. Sakan made a stomping motion as if crushing something. Bark, bark, rrggg. You said it, Akamaru. You know, I actually agree, this might be interesting. I'll take the one who resembles a dog. You stay with the Hyuga. Why do I get the Hyuga? They are boring. Then kill him quickly and join me. Pathetic. Neji sighed. What? Both Sakan and Yukon turned to the young Hyuga. I can both see and feel that you are strong, but you act in a way unworthy of a true ninja. But then again, there were times when I allowed myself to act in a similar way. Allow me to tell you a small tale. I fought in a battle against a determined enemy, yet they said I was fated to win. Fate itself was on my side, and yet I lost, because my opponent had a will strong enough to force fate to change. I lost to the one who I thought was beneath me, who I never saw as a threat or a real challenge. Such defeats are painful to remember, but despite that they must never be forgotten. Such defeats are the lesson one must learn to become a true shinobi. In a battle between two ninjas, anything can happen. There is no such thing as an enemy that should not be taken seriously. Thus you two are not worthy to call yourselves ninjas. Words, noting more. If you think you can kill us. Both Sakan and Yukon disappeared from sight, appearing both sides of the young Hyuga. You are welcome to try. Kaiten! Whoa! Both Sakan and Yukon were thrown back after slamming into the spinning dome of chakra. Trust me, we will try. Fate or not, we can't lose here today. Neji and Kiba both charged.